Hello, and welcome to the Weekly Scroll Podcast, brought to you by the Adventure Archive. My name is Ryan.
I'm Hunter.
And today, we are going to be reviewing Runecairn Wardensaga, the Soulslike Norse fantasy RPG from Colin Sueur. First of all, wow, that cover.
It's such a good cover.
It's gorgeous. Crom. Good fucking job. It's absolutely stunning. We talked about this, I think, last time. Older we get, the more we're into pink. And
love pink.
I really love all of the pinks and magentas and everything on this cover. It's great. So for those who don't know, Runecairn Wardensaga is kind of the second-ish kind of version of Runecairn, which is a cairn, knave, and into the odd hack, which it's a really interesting game. I really like the original, but it was probably maybe just a little light to have on the show as a full episode. We like games between like 70 and 100 pages, I think is our sweet spot. 70 to 120.
That's a very good space for us.
Yeah. But with Runecairn Wardensaga, it is the basic, core rules from the original book. It is the Beneath the Broken Sword intro adventure and some advanced rules. And aside from the fact that the hardback is gorgeous, we feel that it is of a solid length for what we normally do. So we definitely wanted to talk about it. So this will be fun, and we'll get to that in just a minute. How are you doing this morning, man?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm a little sleepy per usual, but I'm feeling good. I like this game. I'm stoked to talk about it and go through it a little bit deeper because I really just got a chance to skim it this week. But, it's very much in my realm. It's a Norse Dark Souls. Like, I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah. Sick.
Yeah, right. Yep. I mean, that's really all you need to do is just say that. And you're like, all right.
Yeah, you have me.
I think that's how I described it to you. And you were like, a what? Sure. Yeah, let's do this.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's like getting into the odd hack. It's like Norse Dark Souls. It's like, oh, yeah, those are all right my favorite things.
Yep. Exactly. But before we get into that, we're going to do what we frequently do. And that is switch over to Kickstart the Podcast.
We're starting the podcast.
We're starting it. Oh, let's put that back up. Oh, no, that's not what I want.
Big Ryan.
There
We're
it
still waking
is.
up. We forgot how to do this,
Every week we forget how to do it. So we're going to start with some physical rewards this week. The first one I'm going to talk about is something we talked about. You know what I love is when we get a physical reward for a game that we previously talked about on Kickstart the Podcast, which I think is the whole point of this segment here.
You're pretty,
but I love it. Yeah. It's nice. The first one I'm going to talk about is called Skin Job from Yagi Games. And first of all, this is the cover. What do you notice about this cover right away?
It's a nice virgin cover.
It's a nice virgin cover. Look how beautiful that is.
We love a cover that does not say anything on it. It's just a big piece of art.
And then it's just got Skin Job on the back, which is fantastic. But also, my God, Michael Harmon does this just absolutely stunning, insane art. Like it's the really colors. Nice. Like just his style is absolutely gorgeous. Can't get over that enough. And I love that cover so much. This is a putrid, deep pit of filth set in the horrific desolation of Mörkborg. Basically, it is an adventure where Lord Felbane has mostly ignored the problem of recent disappearances in the forest. But 2 weeks ago, the Lord's 2 children vanished from their home, and the sheriffs and deputies sent after them have not been heard from since. And just this morning, the Lord's most favored advisor was apparently kidnapped, leaving a bloody trail leading into the nearby forest. And the Lord has commissioned willing scum and press gang the unwilling to rescue his missing children and trusted advisor from the unknown forces in the haunting and dangerous Blood Tree Wood. Super fun, for those of us who think that Mörkborg and dying in the dying world is fun.
But, super fun to do like really dark shit.
Yeah. But again, the art in it is stunning throughout. I love the big Yagdu kind of stuff throughout as well. Really interesting little adventure. I've got to skim through it. The problem with a lot of Merkborg stuff is I don't want to read it too deeply just in case Jason decides to run it. So I've skimmed like bits and pieces of it and got like, especially through the intro part, and definitely looked through the art, which again is absolutely stunning. It's just laid out really interesting. Like I really like a lot of the ways that they do stuff. Cool. So yeah. So cool little like baby head and stuff. So so that is Skin Job. That's the first thing we're going to be looking at. Next is a lot of Merkborg stuff. One of our favorite Merkborg people, Christian Eichhorn. Well, we both back a lot of this stuff, but yeah, me more than you.
I actually didn't back either of these, so.
Oh well, I did. So this is Apocrypha from Christian Eichhorn. And we were talking about this before. I think I have all but maybe 2 things that Christian Eichhorn put out. We really like his stuff a lot. It's really great. It looks really good. I love that it's the Merkborg style, but not just like, let's do everything pink and yellow and then not really do anything else. Like he really took that style and ran with it and made it his own, which is always really interesting. And this one doesn't have like a ton of the like super like bold pink and yellows that a lot of people default to, which if you read the original Merkborg, yeah, there's a lot of bright colors and stuff, but it's not just pink and yellow. You know what I mean? Like it's not every page doesn't have to be yellow. You get a lot of pages like this, which are fantastic. The War Pig. So what Apocrypha is a supplement in the same vein as like Feretory or his own Purgatory, where you get just a bunch of stuff. There is Unclean Revival, Star Signs, Apocrypha, Diseases, Cures, Dungeons, Monstrous Races, Establishments. It's just kind of like a mix, a hodgepodge of a bunch of different stuff. And I really like this for things like Merkborg because there's adventures out the wazoo. Right. But being able to add like extra stuff that's outside of the core book. Like I want to run a monster that the players haven't read in the book already, or I want to run like have a new disease or something like that. I love books like this where it's just like a mix of really fun, cool stuff you can add to really put flavor into your game that your players probably haven't seen unless they also back this. So really cool book. It's got a lot of stuff in it. I mean, it's not small. It is 65 pages. So really nice. Got a lot of really cool stuff in it. Christian Eichhorn, again, it's pretty much like an Instaback. Good stuff. And the cover is gorgeous. I love this on the cover. Yeah, that's neat. And then the last one for our physical rewards for today is Fleo. It's Fleo. They write it in the book. Front cover, first of all, is gorgeous. Look at this like house with the eye on it, and you're like walking in.
Very cool.
Right? And then the back cover, look at this. Same kind of like walking into a thing, but it's just like night with like the eye creature thing. Like really gorgeous art.
Yeah.
And Fleo is a brutal medieval early Renaissance Baroque fantasy RPG inspired by Black Hack 2E and their own Black Sword Hack. This is from Kobayashi. Really cool. This is one of those projects I was like, that we've talked about this before. If you're going to do a project, it was basically written when the Kickstarter came out. And then it just needed...
The Kickstarter was not that long ago.
No, not at all. And then basically all they have to do is some small edits, maybe add some stuff if they did any. This was funded March 3rd. So like a month and a half to go from funding to a drive-through RPG print on demand in my hand, and I've had this for a couple days now. Actually,
I mean, I have my code. I just haven't ordered it yet. But it's like
that's a perfect Kickstarter project as far as I'm concerned. Like, have the book almost completely written. Again, there was they sent out the PDF so that people could look at it, and then if anything was like super off, they could adjust it. They could have like a couple hundred people look at it for edits, which I think there were a bunch. And then send it to freaking drive-through and send out the POD codes, and that's what it was. And it's really cool. It's really interesting. I like the way that they do a lot of stuff. within it, like the class's character creation. The art throughout looks really, really cool too. It's just really well done, really interestingly laid out.
Looks cool. So yeah,
the fonts in it are gorgeous. I love the way that they do this for each section with just like a big piece of art and this kind of like sideways font.
Yeah.
And look at this piece, the Chaos and Revenge piece. Like, that's beautiful.
Very cool.
So,
I really like the sorcery page. The sorcery page looks really cool.
Looks so good, and like the layout all throughout is really, really well done. The lore in this is really, really interesting. I really like the setting that they did, and then the mechanics, as I said, are kind of like a black hack, which is something that we haven't really talked about black hack yet.
We just going over it, I think, a time or two, but I think our call out was that it's pretty long, isn't it? Am I thinking
it's kind of a little bit long? And I think we were debating whether we were going to do the black hack or whether we were going to do. Well, we can do both, or we were just going to pick a game that uses black hack. Like if we were going to do like Bullets Under Neon Sun or something like that uses black hack's rule set.
Bullets Under Neon Sun. Right? I fucking love that game.
And then we were I think we were just deciding whether we were going to do kind of like maybe like 2-part longer episodes with some of the games that are a little bit longer like that, or DCC and stuff like that. We'll decide. We'll get there. But anyway,
how you feel in the comments about that. So would you watch a 2-part episode? Let us know.
Well, I mean, our Trick episode's got a decent viewership, and that was a 2-parter. But
that's fair.
And Lancer was too. Anyway, Fleo, really interesting rule set, really interesting world, really, really well laid out book, awesome art. This is definitely a super, super good pickup. Definitely going to keep my eye on anything that Kobayashi does in the future going forward. And that is Fleo.
That's a very quality, ttrpg right there. Like,
yeah,
the book's a good size too. It's like, it's not small. It's a big book.
If you compare it to zine size, it's definitely like, and I like it's kind of got squarish. You know what I mean? Like, it's obviously not. It's a little rectangular, but it's not. It's much like it's got some extra length, like some girth to it. It's a wide book. You know?
Yeah, and I don't think the Kickstarter was that expensive.
It wasn't. It really, really wasn't. That was another thing. I think the print one, it was like 12 pounds or 12 euros. Yeah, 12 pounds,
so 15 bucks.
And then what was the print on demand code for it, or cost for it?
$20.
Yeah. So you're paying like $35, 35 bucks to have it in your hand.
Book. It's kind of a big book for $35, you know?
Yeah, it's nice. I think that's industry standard size and stuff like that for a hardback. It's not too bad at all. And it's got roughly, where's the page numbers? Oh no, they're at the top because I'm a jackass.
Doing great.
Yeah, that's like 95 pages, roughly.
Respectable.
So, decent size, really nice. It's a good book. The lore in it is really neat, right up my fucking alley. It's definitely a game that is immediately going on my list of I want to fucking play this one. And those are our physical rewards from today. But we also have just a couple of non-physical rewards, some actual games to go over. Even though I personally do not have any backed projects right now, even though I'm probably going to back all the ones we're going to talk about today. The first one I want to talk about is Children of, I'm going to say Uma. That's my guess. Uma, yeah, like of the Thurman kind.
I mean, it sounds right.
So this is a cinematic storytelling post-apocalyptic adventure RPG from 321 Action. After the apocalypse, the world entered a neo-dark age. The convenience of a big city became a death trap. People manage on the fringe in groups trying to survive, each with their own goals. The world has been divided into bands, some big, some small. Yours is small. The Hell Sings, a band of wild animals trying to reclaim a world forgotten. This is from John McGuire, also known as Hambone, who co-hosts and hosts a bunch of podcasts. But he co-hosts the Vintage RPG podcast, which is a cool podcast and also a really interesting Instagram page that is, I think, mostly run by Sue Horvath, with John McGuire as the co-host of the podcast. But yeah, this looks really, really neat. The art is beautiful. The only thing with when I see a motorcycle and a helmet like this, all I can think of is Durarara. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I definitely do. I've only seen like a few episodes, but I mean, I'm fine with that. I liked that show from what I saw.
Yeah, so. It was cool. It's all right. I wish I liked it more than I did, but I really did like that.
This is very much in my realm. I'm like, I
know.
So
yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm like, oh okay, this is like would you say neon apocalyptic? Is that what you said? Or no, you said that Neo Dark Age. I'm into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Neo Dark Age Apocalypse, and you're part of the Hellsings, a group of animals that are trying to reclaim a forgotten world.
So far.
Yeah, right.
You sold me.
Yep. It is a love letter to all the great 70s and 80s post-apocalyptic action adventures with plucky survivors roaming a wasteland. Yeah, it looks really cool.
Mad Max.
Yeah, it's got like Mad Max mixed with animals. Like it's pretty neat. I mean, obviously they're not like really animals. Because there's like, I assume these are people here and there's just animal helmets. But again, still hits me with that do rah 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 thing, except they actually have heads. But yeah, the art looks really, really gorgeous. I don't know a lot about the 3-2-1 action system, but apparently it is designed to be a very cinematic storytelling game. So this would be a fun one to kind of get into that 3-2-1 system, I think. So a really interesting project. It's got 18 days left. And looking at the costs, it doesn't seem too bad at all. If you want to get the PDF, it's only $10. If you want to get the 3-2-1 action rulebook, a solo adventure called Ski Quest, Rocket to Russia, Escape from Point Nemo, and Children of Uma PDF, all of that is only $15.
That's not bad. I mean, all the physical is just 20.
Yeah, dude, like it's PDF. Yeah, PDF and physical of all of the things I just said, the 3-2-1 action rulebook, Ski Quest, and Children of Uma. 3 softcover PDFs with all, 3 softcover books with all the PDFs is only $20. That's crazy. Yeah, it's a great deal. It's a great deal. And the hardcover for all of that stuff, well, I don't think they're all hardcover. It's physical copies, but with the Children of Uma hardcover, it's only $35. Like that's a crazy good deal. So yeah, so you should definitely check this out. It looks really, really neat. I definitely convinced myself to back this now. And yeah, check it out. Children of Uma, 18 days left. It is a little bit short of the goal. The goal is $7,000 and it's currently sitting at $41.57. So in 18 days, I definitely think that this could be pushed over the edge. Looks fun, looks interesting. Go back it. And then you are going to talk about what?
I am going to talk about Albion Tales, a retro fantasy adventure zine bundle for OSE. Albion Tales is by Leyline Press, who has done a couple projects. I think they did Andromeda, which Ryan has, which is that mothership module, and then they did Salvage Union, which has not been released yet, but it's like a mech ttrpg. The Albion Tales zine bundle is just 3 different OSE compatible like little fold out zine adventures. It's got the Isle of Glaisen. I don't know, bro. I'm American. I can't pronounce shit. Which is a fun little hex crawl. Looks like a cool little hex crawl map it comes with. Then you have the Bastard King of Thraxford Castle, which is a macabre feudal adventure, which sounds sick. And then the God with No Name, which is another, I think it's a very like a primordial sea creature god adventure. But yeah, it's very cool. One thing I really like about this is that it's a very, very simple Kickstarter. There aren't any like help me out. What word am I looking for?
Stretch goals?
What's up?
Did you see stretch goals or what?
Yes, there's no stretch goals. Thank you. I'm still waking up. There's no stretch goals, which like I actually am okay with a lot of the times.
I love that.
I wanted to focus on the game. Sometimes I'm like, oh, it's really cool, but they're like, no, they're just focusing on these zines. It's pretty affordable too. The let's see, the pledge options for about $9, so £7. You can get all 3 PDFs, or for £15 or about $19, you can get all of the physical copies with PDFs as well. It's cool. Cool 3 mini zines. for your OSC adventures, give you a little more fodder for your world. I'm into it.
I really like it. I think they look really cool. And they make this in the same style that they did Andromeda, which is like it's a page, but the way that they cut it in the middle and fold it up, I love that. Like that, I want to do zines like that going forward forever. Like it's so cool how it becomes like a whole page or like a little flip through zine, and it's got like a little video running on it. Really neat.
The little video is cool because you can see how to set up the little map, and it's a cool little like zine pack. I really like it, so I backed it. I'm getting the physical copies.
I'll be backing this one for sure. The other thing too is, I don't know if you've noticed, but the pound and the euro have really been coming down towards the dollar a little bit more.
I mean, great, the world's ending, so hopefully
much more reasonable for us. Yeah, I mean, 15 pounds is only $19. I remember before when it would be like real stretched. Yeah. And I know the euro is only like $1. It's like 1.08 to like $1. So it's really close. So it's much more reasonable for us filthy Americans to get these cool euro projects. Until
6 months from now, when our housing market collapses and we go through another 2007. But
Oh yeah, that's great. Yeah. Good thing I didn't start my retirement yet. And this project is also like way past funded, but still looks really cool. And OSC is obviously going to be dropping their the box set coming out soon. I know
is there a box set coming out?
Yeah. I don't know if you'd heard about it.
Yeah, no, I had no idea.
Yeah, it did okay.
Did the project do okay on Kickstarter? Did they make the
It did okay. It did okay. But with that coming out soon, a lot of fun OSC projects coming out. So definitely keep an eye on that.
Yeah, I am very stoked about that. I'm stoked to have like a whole, and I got a cool box to keep all my OSC stuff in,
Oh, you do? Oh, you mean this
that one over there? Yeah.
They're it's off my screen right now. But I somehow withheld backing the OSC box set since I already own all of the OSC stuff. But Jason is going to snag a t-shirt and some stuff like that for me off the pledge manager.
Oh, so,
yeah, so I still get to get some stuff even though I had up, but I somehow held myself from backing all of the box set stuff, which was really nice for my wallet. The last one I want to talk about today is called The Ballad of Johnny Candlefingers. Right? Interesting. The Ballad of Johnny Candlefingers is a murder ballad point crawl set in a Dust Bowl weird and wild western town. It's a simple adventure that you can run in 1 or 2 sessions with minimal prep. It says there's rural stuff, creepy stuff, horrible stuff, burnt stuff, and it's a starting point for a campaign or a nice diversion from an existing one. This is from the Sealed Library, which, if you don't know the Sealed Library, they've done a lot of really cool solo adventures. They did the SRD for The Wretched, which is the Wretched and Alone system, which is Chris Bissett's The Wretched game. They've done a lot of really cool stuff. I snagged most of their stuff when it was on sale not too long ago. There's a post on our Instagram that talks about a lot of the adventures that they have done. Really cool work. This one seems really interesting. I think like weird, creepy Dust Bowl kid setting stuff on fire sounds really cool.
Does sound pretty cool. So
yeah, Jonathan Van Wyck, as he was known, is a young boy who now has the terrible and barely controlled ability to burn things. He's steadily making his way around town, razing places to the ground. The town wants that to stop, and the party are tasked with doing it. So seems really neat. They're trying to itch. So this is on itch, because again, Kickstart the Podcast is about all crowdfunding. They're itch funding to try to get to a print run. And they're looking at $250, and I don't know if this has been updated recently. It says they're about 20% of the goal. So $250 will get it to a print run, and $500 they'll be able to pay themselves well for writing this. So it is actually a name your own price right now to get this. So go back it and give them money so we can get a cool printed version of this. And if this is the cover here on the side, it looks really neat.
That is really cool.
Yeah, all Sealed Library stuff as really cool. Really well done all the time. So go check that out. Again, give them money. Let's get this in print.
Yeah.
Go do it. Yeah. And while you're there, go browse more on itch for really cool projects and pay creators to make cool stuff for you. because itch is really cool. Itch.io, itch.io. And again, this is the Ballad of Johnny Candlefingers from Sealed Library. You can find it at sealedlibrary.itch.io, and then you can take it from there. And that is all our Kickstart the Podcast for today.
We kickstart the podcast.
Woo!
30 minutes, good time, you know?
Listen, that's our
goal time with Kickstart the Podcast. Yeah. It's like, if we can get through it in 30 minutes, we're doing okay.
If we could actually pre-stream and start at 8 o'clock, it would be dope, but we don't. We pre-stream at like 8:05. We really get going at like 8:15.
Yeah,
and then we're getting going. Yeah. And yes, for anyone who sees these cool boxes behind me, and now there's more right here.
You're doing great.
I'm trying. I hate it. Just reverse. Go check out our.
I'm watching you on our Zoom, and then I'm also have the channel up, and so I'm watching you struggle. And then I'm watching. Yeah. I'm looking at the channel, and I'm watching you struggle again.
Anyway, gorgeous boxes from the iWizard. Go check out our last episode for our second unboxing of all of these cool boxes.
We do love the iWizard in the show.
iWizard's fucking badass. Yeah. That's the second of probably more unboxings of their stuff, of his stuff in a bit. But you know, we'll get to that when we get to that. So let's why don't we get into Runecairn?
I will say major minus for me, they don't have a spreads version, so yeah.
I am totally fine with that. But there aren't any spreads in the game.
Yeah, it's easier for me to read. I just like it.
But
like be zoomed in, you know.
Zoom in on the single page. Anyway, so as we talked about before, damn, how about this cover? Gorgeous. Again, the art's name is Prom. So sick. Look at this.
Cover is wildly good.
This like Viking looking guy is like streaking down like through lightning with their beard flying back, and he's just punching the shit out of this like bone snake dragon guy. It's just fucking amazing. It's got so much action. It's got so much movement. The colors are gorgeous. Yeah, it's just it's killing it. Crumb, you killed it. So again, this is by Colin Sueur, or Odin's Beard RPG. If you go check them out on Instagram, you'll understand why. Dude's got a wicked beard. And yeah, this is Runecairn. I wanted to, and kept forgetting to, in many of my piles here, I have the original Runecairn and the original Beneath the Sword zines separate. But now I don't need to worry about that because it all comes in one. It all comes in one beautiful little package here. From Exalted Funeral. So, yeah. So, writing, layout, illustrations, Colin Sueur, cover art from Crom, Viking Age illustrations, Jonas Lau Markussen, and then you can find all 9 resources, which is fantastic. Love when people do that. And then a bunch of public domain art. So, as we roll into this, we'll go right into a table of contents, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Not only that.
Look at that. Look at that. Hyperlink, baby.
Hyperlinked. Do we have bookmarks? Are there bookmarks in this bad boy? Look at all those bookmarks. Look at that.
10 right now, just 10 for layout.
No, not quite. But in my opinion, the bare minimums are met. We have a table of contents that's hyperlinked. We have bookmarks that'll get you places. That's the other thing too, is if you have bookmarks on your PDF, you don't really necessarily need those amazing, beautiful Troika links back to the chapter header and stuff like that, because you can just open the bookmarks and just go back to where you want to go with a really easy scroll. So again, I'm minimum for me is hyperlinks. Bookmarks are a really, really nice addition. And then everything beyond that is you're not quite Troika, but you're getting there. So on the first page of the table of contents, we have the core rules, which we will go over. Again, the book realistically is still not quite that long. The advanced rules start on page...
It's super doable.
Well, and then we're not going to go over the introductory adventure. Obviously, we never read the adventures when we go over games, because go buy the fucking book
go run the adventure.
So it is 62 pages until the adventure, and then there's some appendices in the back from 76 on. So realistically, it's not that big of a book, but it is, as we get in, it's not dense, but there's a lot of really good information. So inspirations, Dark Souls, obviously, as we go through, you'll see that. Icelandic sagas, OSC, Valheim, and then we roll right into the core rules.
These are all things that I love. So
yeah. In the wondrous beauty of the aftermath, golden tables found among the grass, held by the gods in days of old. Then barren fields will bloom and grow, all harm shall be undone. That is the quote here on the beginning. And then a really cool piece of art, gorgeous background with a cairn right there. And that is the piece of art that's on the back of the book. But it's in the book. So
it's also in the book.
Overview. What is Runecairn? Runecairn is a Norse fantasy tabletop role-playing game intended for 2 players, the warden, the facilitator, or game master, and the adventurer. For solo play or 2 or more adventurers, see the advanced rules, which is cool. First time I read through Runecairn, what's really struck me is that it says it's Souls-like, it's freaking Dark Souls. Like it's really done in a really cool way. Like you have reactions where you can literally roll away from damage. Like when you die, you get birthed back. You can like revive at a bonfire. I mean, it's really, really cool. And it's basically Dark Souls with like a Norse vibe to it, which is really, really interesting. And I like that it's just a 2-player game. We need to start playing. We need to start doing some APs of this stuff, especially once your classes are done.
They're done. They were done last Thursday.
Let's fucking do it. Well, you know the game that we're going to play first. The very first game we're going to play together.
Xenosaga? Or not Xenosaga. No, what are we going to play?
Bro, are you serious right now? Is this on camera for you, but not for them?
I can't really see what you're pointing at.
It's 12 years, man.
Oh, fuck yeah. We're going to play 12 years, bro. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes, we have to.
I can't wait. We're going to do 12 years.
I reread that this past week. I was like, fuck, this game is so good.
So good. And then the hardbacks, I've got to post my pictures of the hardbacks, the only 2 in existence for the weekly scroll version of the hardback. Did you see, getting sidetracked here, did you see his newest one with like the green?
We're also Big Max Moon fans on the show.
Yeah. Did you see the new one with like
fucking like that?
The green cover with like the paisley, the pastel kind of end papers in it on his Instagram? Go check it out. Oh my god, it's stunning.
What?
Anyway,
keep reading Runecairn. I'm gonna go fucking look at this.
We're also gonna do Xenosaga, but then right near the top, dude, we need to do Runecairn. It was like a 2-player game. This would be so much fun. Obviously, I'll be the GM, and you could be the player. Yeah, super excited to do that. So this is going to go on the top of the list as 2-player game that we're going to run APs for. That's what I really want, is a lot of 2-player games. Isn't that gorgeous? Yeah. Okay, so the overview here, we'll just go through quickly. Talks about the design philosophy of the game. It is the warden's role is to be neutral. You're playing out the situation and stuff like that. You're the neutral arbiter. You're the referee. You're not a storyteller. This is a game that's more about oh god, why am I'm blanking, even though it's going to come up in just a moment as I continue to read. It's emergent storytelling, right? Like the story comes from you playing. You're not a storyteller walking your players through a story. The game is classless, so you will pick kind of right. You'll pick a role in the beginning, but then the way that you can build out your character is entirely up to you. Death is possible, but again, in this game you can revive back at bonfires, which is interesting. You put the fiction first, which is what we just talked about. You are the arbiter, but the rules, it's rulings, not rules, really. Talking about growth and players' choices and the principles. The Warden and the Adventure each have guidelines that help foster a specific play experience defined by critical thinking, exploration, and emergent narrative. And then there's a list of adventure types, which I really, really like, having some guidance in the beginning on what kind of games to run versus just having nothing.
I love that. We've read it in a couple things, and I think what was the Lumen one that we read?
Nova?
Nova had it really well too, where it's just like, here are the kinds of adventures you go on in these different areas. I'm like, oh, I love that. Thank you.
Yeah, so good.
Thank you for taking some of the thought work out of it. I can do the rest,
Yeah. It's nice to get a little guidance too, because even like if you just read a rule set, sometimes it's like, well, what's like, is this for one shots? Is this for campaigns? Like, what is this for?
I will say that recently a lot of the like more modern ones have gotten a lot better at being like, this is what this is for. But some of the older ones that we read, I'm just like, okay, is this or maybe that we don't read on here, but we read personally. I'm like, is this yeah, exactly. It's the one shot. What's it supposed to play like, you know?
Right, exactly. So adventure types are defend a village against roaming invaders, hunt a monstrous creature stealing children, reclaim a family cairn overwhelmed by the dead, retrieve a powerful relic lost in the mountains, confront a raging Jotun blocking supplies reaching an isolated settlement, broker peace between two Jotun. Okay, Jotun. My bad. Yeah, Jotun. I apologize. Like yeah, Norse is not my. Norse is not my. It's not at the top of my list of my favorite parts of the world.
I know. It's literally the top of my list.
You love the Norse stuff, man. Yeah. You like the Norse stuff, and I like the mud blood, like Western European, like whatever. Protect a caravan journey traveling through dangerous territory, infiltrate a secretive cult worshipping forgotten gods, or explore newly discovered lands in search of a mythical beast. I also like that there's ones in here that are clearly more RP oriented versus like combat oriented. So like retrieve a powerful relic, or reclaim a family cairn overwhelmed by the dead, you know, or hunt a monster stealing children. Sounds very combat oriented, but like broker peace between two warring clans, you know, infiltrate a secretive cult worshipping forgotten gods. Clearly gonna have some more RP elements to it, which would be interesting to go. Yeah, sounds dope as fuck, right? And then some cool art here. I like that they do these like very Viking style pieces, but it's always like a color scheme to the whole piece. So you'll get like red ones and yellow ones and green ones.
Yeah, this like public domain art that they kind of have on here is like, it's so good. Like it really is very good. And there's a lot of it in this book, and it's so cool.
So, and I think it's a mix of public domain and other ones, because it says Viking Age illustrations are from Jonas Lau Markussen, which is cool. So I think this is probably one of those illustrations. It doesn't seem very public domain. It looks more like a digital art piece.
Makes sense.
So if that's theirs, this is gorgeous. And I think there's definitely a bunch of pieces that are like that kind of like almost like wood carving kind of looking pieces, like the older public domain style, which is really cool. And it fits really well with this style of art, which is cool. More principles here. Principles for the Warden. It talks about information, which is providing information. Difficulty, which is default to context and realism rather than numbers and mechanics. If something the players wants to do is sincerely impossible, don't let them roll. That's like the worst mistake you can make, especially when you're like an early 5e DM, is just like you don't want them to do it, but you're like, sure, why not? Like, only if you get a 20. Of course they're going to get a fucking 20.
They're going to get a fucking 20, right? Yeah.
Same thing. If you want to give them information, don't make them roll for perception, because you're going to make it a 10 and they're going to get a 1 every time. So don't do that. Preparation. The game world is organic, malleable, and random. It intuits and turns sharply. Use random tables and generators to develop situations, not stories or plots. I think we've talked about this a bunch. We are both moving very sharply towards letting the game be the game, and whatever story evolves from it. Because the human brain is designed to create a narrative. Even in things that don't make fucking sense, it will create its own narrative. And it's a lot more fun to have players create this emergent narrative from the game, as opposed to a GM writing a story and then running your players through, occasionally letting them dice roll, but knowing the end already. Like, and it's also less prep. You know what I mean? Like, you can just do like random shit and improv.
That's the biggest thing, is it's less prep. Like,
it is.
You just fucking prep a little bit, sit down, know the world, and like let them decide what's happening. You know?
Yeah. You know, and it puts a little bit more impetus on you to have a little bit more improv and flexibility. But as a GM, that's what I want. I want to have fun.
Exactly. Like, and that's why, like, I'm really big into theater of the mind games, because I don't have to prep a bunch of maps, you know?
Yeah. I like having maps when it comes to combat, and like having pictures when it's not. Because my brain just doesn't work in that. I need to visualize where the things are. But I totally get where you're coming from as far as that, and keeping things a little bit more theater of the mind when you don't need a map for every single situation you're in. only if you're gonna end up in like combat and you feel like this combat area, maybe have just something to throw tokens onto, maybe.
Yeah.
But that's it. But we've definitely, like I said, we've been really steering more into emergent narrative as opposed to like again, to me, because if I write out a whole story, basically I'm just like reading through the pages as we play.
Yeah.
That became very unfun.
Yeah, it really takes away a lot from my ability to be a good game master as well, because I'm so focused on what I wrote that I'm not like in my improv head and like reacting actively to my players. So, but yeah, so
it's much better to, like you said, like know the world and maybe have some like big like points that have a little bit more like involved in it if they find them, but definitely not like, okay, they're going to do this and then they're going to find this information here, so then they're going to do this and then they're going to go find this information here and then they're going to do this. Just write a book. That's what you're doing. You're just writing a book and occasionally letting people roll dice.
Just write a book.
Yeah. So it talks about preparation, using tables. NPCs don't want to die, infuse their own self-interest in their personality. It talks about a narrative focus, is what we just talked about. Emergent experience of play is what matters, not math or adventure abilities. Give the player weapon trainers and personal quests to facilitate improvement and specialization. Talks about danger. The game world produces a real risk of pain and death for the adventurer. You can telegraph serious danger to the players when it is present. The more dangerous, the more obvious. And you can put traps in plain sight and let the players take time to discover a solution. Choice. Give the players solid choice to force outcomes when the situation lulls. Use binary, so A or B responses when their intentions are vague, and work together with this conversational progress to keep the game moving. And then the die of fate. Occasionally you will want an element of randomness, such as the weather or unique character knowledge. At these times, roll a d6. 4 or more favors of players. 3 or under means bad luck. And then we have another gorgeous piece, this illustration here of what looks to be a young man reaching for a sword held by a woman. Probably some magic-y stuff involved here. People usually just like hand out swords.
It's not maybe, probably, but it's almost like the Lady of the Lake in King Arthur.
It does. It gives you that kind of vibe for sure. And this one's got a blue kind of overlay over it. And then immediately goes into like a yellow page. Again, similar, same kind of illustration of what appears to be like a pillar with something on top. And these people looking up at it. A man and a woman, the woman in these white clothes that make her look like she's glowing. Really, really beautiful piece. And then principles for the player. We just went over the Warden ones. So this is for the players. And this is what they talked about in the beginning, where there's a clear set of principles for the Warden and the player, so you know that your responsibilities when you're playing the game. Principles for the player are agency. Your attributes and related saves do not define your adventurer. They're tools. Don't ask only what your character would do. Ask what you would do too, and be creative with your intuition, items, and connections. Exploration is another topic. You can ask questions and listen to details for more useful stats. And take the Warden's description without suspicion. But don't shy away from seeking more information. One of the things that they talked about in the Warden section was like, don't lie. Give them the information that they need. It's not about scheming. Like, you're laying out the world, so lay out the world for them so they have the information so they can make good choices. Talking. Treat NPCs as if they're real people and rely on your curiosity to safely gain information. So like when you meet an NPC, you don't just like, when you meet a person in real life, you never just like walk up to some rando and just like start talking and get their whole life story without ever even asking their fucking name. You know what I mean? So talk to NPCs like they're real people, you know? Use caution. Fighting is a choice and rarely a good one. Use planning, thinking of ways to avoid your obstacles through reconnaissance, subtlety, and fact-finding. And ambition. Set goals and use your meager means to take steps forward and expect nothing. You earn your reputation. I skimmed through each one of those. Has a couple of bullet points. Same thing with the Warden. So that was a quick skim through that section. Do you want to skim through the principles of the world?
Principles of the world. I just only have had an energy drink and some water today, so I'm all like, I don't know.
An energy great. Seltzer?
Yeah, an energy seltzer, sponsored by Celsius. So the 9 realms. The battle of Ragnarok is done and the world is broken. The realms are full of danger and wonder. There are echoes of the old world everywhere. Travel between the realms is perilous and rare. Yeah, you gotta have that fucking fucking 9 realms, man. Gotta climb the world tree and reach all of its branches. The gods, the Aesir and the Vanir are all dead or missing. Mjolnir is lost and Gungnir is broken. The Jotun are scattered. Most fled to Jotunheim. Gungnir is fucking. You know what Gungnir is? Fucking Odin's spear. You know.
Oh, okay.
If you make an oath on it, it's unbreakable. You know.
Interesting.
So the Titans, the sons of Fenrir, wander hungry and feral. Jormungandr is dead. Their skeleton, long picked, clean, fucking cool. Strange new Titans roam unchallenged and dormant. That's fucking cool. Imagine Jormungandr like a fucking planet-sized, a world-wrapping serpent, but just the skeleton, just laying out, you know?
Is that this guy? Is that this guy, you think?
Probably, yeah. That's probably what that is referring to, but fucking cool. Or the art is referencing, but bonfires. The light of a bonfire will always lead you back, or will always lead you to safety. Bonfires link the 9 realms. The flames of a bonfire never dwindle. Secrets. Secrets are worth seeking out, but all are well guarded and dangerous. Some mysteries will never be solved. Magic. Magic is wild and unpredictable, will be with behavior changing from one realm to another. The use of magic draws unwanted attention. Defeat. If one path leads to defeat, try another. Some obstacles cannot be overcome immediately. With every defeat comes new knowledge and opportunity. Death. Spirits gather in places of the dead. Remnants of the wars wander as shades of all humanity and vigor lost. Death is not the end. Viking Age. Though this is inspired by the historical Viking Age, roughly 8th to 11th century BCE, the realms of Runecairn exist in a Norse fantasy world brimming with mythology and folklore, ever-changing and evolving. After that, we have another of these great art pieces that's like very, very, you know, monochromatic, or, you know, it's got one blue. It just uses the same blue. It looks so cool. I love that, you know?
And there's some type of like maybe water spirit with like a almost Poseidon-y kind of trident coming out of what looks maybe like a mountain like runoff with this woman
looks
hanging
like
out in the water. Yeah, really, really well done. Again, these illustrations are super, super cool. I love how just like flowy all of the lines are. It really puts a lot of motion in the water and the grass and things like that. It looks really, really well done.
I like this as a post Ragnarok setting. You know, pretty cool.
A lot of things are obviously pretty Ragnarok, right? Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've gone over a couple things that kind of reference it being somewhat post Ragnarok, maybe. But this is like, it's interesting to have like, it's the Norse worlds of the gods, except they're all fucking dead, essentially.
They're all dead.
You know, they all died.
And you're and you're just wandering around in this post-apocalyptic, post-Ragnarok world.
Yeah, but So adventure creation, creating a new adventurer. You gotta name them. So the first thing is you're gonna choose or roll to find a name. Are they? Oh,
yep, right there.
Nice. Then we have a nice
inline hyperlinks. Colin, my man,
wow,
killing it. Yeah. And then I just go to the bookmarks. Boom, we're right back to where we were.
Wow, that's good. We love them inline hyperlinks. They also make a lot of sense. So you can choose a name or you can roll on the name table, and the table's pretty good. Do
you want to roll on the name table real quick?
Yeah,
or I will, since you're talking. Yeah. So it looks to be the names looks to be a D100. Let me pull up my dice roller, and this will be a 100. I got a 58. So my name would be Liv. Yeah. I'm Liv.
What's up, Liv? Olivia.
Liv.
Next,
Olivia.
Next, roll your adventurer's traits, appearance, speech, personality, etc. on the adventure traits table on page 82, which I think you're already there.
Yeah. Physique. It looks like we got some D10 action. So let's see. I got a 5, so I'm rugged. I got a 7 on skin, so it's smooth. I'm smooth and rugged.
Smooth and rugged.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to pull off, but Liv does it.
Big beard. Big beard.
My hair is flowing.
Makes sense. You are rugged.
My face is sharp. My speech is blunt.
Same.
My virtue is tolerant. Definitely a role play challenge there. My vice is aggressive. All right, and that's me. Yeah.
Nice.
I'm like rugged and smooth with a sharp face and a blunt speech, and I'm tolerant but aggressive.
Fun. Cool. So you get to roll a bunch of traits that give you a little bit of insight to who your character is. And then that's step number 1. Step number 2, ability score. You're going to roll 3d6 for each ability in order. You can swap any 2. So we have strength, dexterity, wits, and spirit. Strength is exactly what you think it is. Dexterity is exactly what you think it is. Wits is exactly what you think it is. Wits, just so we're like clear, is used for saves, interrogating, provoking, manipulating spells, and then spirit is used for saves to charm, self-control, intimidation, persuasion, and belief. So I didn't go through strength and dex because at this point, if you've been listening to the show and you don't understand what strength and dex is, I got nothing for you.
Seriously.
Do you want to roll 3d6? You want to make a character while we're doing this?
I can do that. 3d6 for each ability, right?
Yeah.
3d6, and I'll actually all right, so I got a 5. Wow, that sucks.
You're weak as fuck, son.
One of those are gonna be bad. Yeah.
No, you rolled them in order.
I know, but you can swap 2.
You can swap 2. That's true.
Fuck, bro. I got a 5, a 6, a 13, and a 12. Wow. That's really opposite of good stuff here. I mean, I got a lot of wits and spirit and very little strength and dex, so when we get to classes, I guess I'll pick kind of a castery one, so we'll figure out when we get there. All right. What's next?
Cool. Sorry. Vigor. You're going to roll a d6 to figure out what your starting vigor. Vigor determines your self-determination, drive, focus, and is what stands between you and the hollow void. You lose 1 point of vigor at death. If your vigor drops to 0, you become a shade, a hollow being and neither dead nor alive, and are lost to the darkness.
I got a 2.
Dude, I think I played that game before. You got 2?
Yeah, I got some low-ass vigor.
Vitality. You're going to roll another d6, and this is your how hale and hearty you are, brother.
I rolled a 1.
You fucking suck.
Yeah.
And then resilience. Step 5. Resilience is your ability to avoid damage in combat. Resilience is made up of vitality and vigor. Add them together, and that's your resilient.
3.
When that drops to 0, you start taking strength damage. If that happens, prepare to die. So it's very into the odd, right? You have like a buffer, and then after that, you take damage to strength. Which I love. It's one of my favorite ways to track damage and health. Yeah. Starting class. This determines your initial equipment and skills. Each background has a key ability and key item. Your key items add new skills. You can change your class by picking up new key items if you meet the requirements. You can only carry 1 key item at a time. Your starting class does not determine what type of adventurer you are. What you were does not dictate who you can be.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I think it's a really interesting and clever mechanic. There's a bunch of games that use like basically your like bad stuff that happens to you takes away like abilities,
right,
scores, and then there's other things where like if you get like scars or fatigue or something like that, it starts to take up inventory slots, and this uses that too. I think that's incredibly clever and incredibly well done. It's not my favorite way to do it, but I think I don't know how to say it except it's clever. Like, it's a really, really smart way to do it. And I don't know why it's not my favorite, but it's just not my favorite. But again, it's really smart. I do like it. And it's very Into the Odd. And again, Nave does the same thing. And Karen does the same thing. I don't know if
you actually noticed, but I love Into the Odd.
Yeah, you haven't really told me that before, so it's good to know that's what you do. That's your favorite.
I don't give you a hard time for talking about how much you love Merkborg, okay?
Yeah, you do all the time. Fuck you. An interesting piece of art here. It's a little different than the other ones. I think it's because it's like a nighttime scene. But it is a person sitting at a campfire. And then we head into the classes. So you get a couple classes in the core rules, and then there's 2 bonus ones in the advanced rules. So the first one is the warrior. It says, in another life, you might have been a soldier, a guardsman, a shield maiden, or a raider. Your shield was always strapped to your arm, and your axe and spear always to hand. You sang the songs of battle and drank the victory of defeat. In combat, you favored a direct approach, etc., etc. You fight stuff. So warriors start with, it looks like, strength and 3 defense. What do you think that's indicative of?
What? Sorry, 3 defense?
It says strength, 3 defense. So would I add 3 defense, and then what is a strength for? Like, I get why I have 3 defense, because I get the the linden wood shield is +1 defense. The chainmail is +2 defense. So that gives me 3 additional defense. And then I get a bearded axe, an ashwood spear, a memento of defeat, and 4 free slots.
Necessary stat?
Probably. I can only imagine that you would go strength and then you get the 3 defense. So skills, block, it's a reaction, and I get and it says key item. That's because that's my Lindenwood shield. So I can raise shield as a reaction. Strength save to avoid all physical damage. Parry is a reaction with a key item. I can deflect, attack, and riposte. Strength save to avoid all physical damage. And retaliate with damage advantage, which we'll get to later. Basically, damage advantage means it's just like advantage, but you roll your damage twice and you pick the highest damage roll. And you keep that one.
Love that.
Failure results in the attack against you gaining damage advantage. Disarm, you use your axe for that. You hook your opponent's weapon hand. Target needs to make a dex save or be disarmed. It sounds like most things in the game are marked as saves, not checks. Yeah. And then hack, which is you use your axe, attack your opponent in a frenzy for double damage, which I guess can cause fatigue. On a dire strike, your opponent needs to make a strength save or stagger back from the ferocity of the attack, moving back 5 feet and losing their next turn. And you can thrust with your spear, which is lunge forward to extend the range of your weapon and strike targets up to 10 feet away, which I think can cause fatigue. So that is the warrior. Right? There's 4 free slots. You got 3 defense because you have a wooden shield, which is your key item. And again, we just talked about you only get 1 key item. And then chainmail. So that is a warrior. We don't need to read through every single class. There are what looks like a total of 4, which I think probably, again, make up very similar ways the core roles. So a scald, it says, in another life, you might have spoken for the dead, burned sweet sacrifices to the gods, wandered the land weaving tales of myth and legend. Your voice spoke for all and none. You deciphered the will of the gods and shone their light on the people of the realm. So it sounds kind of religious.
It's a little bardy. Scalds are kind of like bards and storytellers.
Oh, is that what that is? You think it's bards?
Yeah, kind of, yeah. So it's the Norse version.
Okay. So you get a runic focus, your reindeer hide, which is your defense, leather hood, which is the defense, because you got 2 defense, and SPI is what? Spirit,
yes.
Yeah, so that is your primary. It must be your primary stat. Yeah. You also get a saga, which we'll go over, a steel sword, sacred waters, sacrificial bundle. You got 5 free slots. Your runic focus is a lightning knife. Manifest and wield or throw a dagger made of lightning for d4 damage. You also have a heal spell, a lightning spear spell, and you have a sword that can sunder. You tear through your opponent's armor for d6 damage. First occurrence causes target to lose 1 defense. That's nice.
Nice.
Do you want to briefly chat about the scout?
Yeah, I got scout. We have a scout. It's dex and 1 defense. In another life, you might have been a hunter, an archer, a scoundrel, or an explorer. With a pair of sharp knives and a trusty short bow, you easily made your way in the world, whether in untamed wilderness or cutthroat civilization. You found the paths and trails no one else could, weaving your way through danger and adventure at every turn. Your fast reflexes help save you in situations where your quick tongue could not. In combat, you either slipped in close, unnoticed, or struck silently from afar with unerring accuracy. Even in the time before you forged your path. Even the time before you forged your own path. Now that your fate is truly unwritten, the 9 realms are yours for the taking. So, Scout is dex based. It starts with has 1 defense. You have hunting knives as your key item. Quilted cloth is what gives you your 1 defense. You have an elm short bow, fire oil, a skeleton key, and you have 5 free slots. You have dash as a reaction from your key item. Definitely evade an attack. Dex save to avoid all damage. Failing to save impairs the enemy's attack, reducing it to D4 fatigue. Backstab from your key item is dash behind your enemy and inflict a critical strike. Dex save to strike for double damage, 2d6. Failure results in an attack from the target with damage advantage. Lacerate from your knives, slice a deep wound in your enemy. Does that for an initial d6 damage, and you get to roll for bleed. Volley, short bow, fire a bunch of arrows, and you also get dire strike. So yeah, it's kind of your sneaky distance person.
Yeah, I think dire strike, and we'll get to it in a little bit, is is a crit? Is there a version of a crit? So okay. I think when you roll that, you get to fire another arrow and roll another damage die, because the previous classes had. They have a dire strike too? I know that the warrior did. Their dire strike was make a strength save, or they're staggered by the ferocity of the attack, moving back 5 feet and losing the next turn. Gotcha. Which is cool. This is why I like rules before character creation.
Fair. The next one we have is Sueur. In another life, you would have been a wise woman, an augur, a trickster, or a conjurer. The only things you needed were your wits and a hunger for knowledge. You sought to delve the mysteries of the realms and pluck forth the secrets within. Wits, 0 defense. This is your squishy person. You're going to start with your key item of a yellow staff, a stout linen, which gives you 0 defense. You have a rune stone, bleached jawbone, which I assume is for portent and foretelling the future. And then you have 7 free slots. You have your key item, the gray stone, which is essentially like a magic sling attack. You have your barrier, which is a reaction for your key item, which is essentially a wit save to impose negate. Why can't I talk today? Negate damage. You have a slow spell. What is that word? Spear. I'm gonna look up that word. Then you that's
out of my wheelhouse.
Yeah, it's more in mine. You have a spear spell. What's a type of magic? Gotcha. So you have a spell, and then you have a clobber with your staff. So this is gonna be kind of your caster.
Clobber in time.
It's clobber in time.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, sick. So those are your 4 basic classes. Makes sense. You have your damagers and your casters and your very cool.
I like all the little illustrations on each one too. I think this is that the author did that, Colin. So they all have like little
cool.
bows and arrows, or the swords and whatnot. So there is an adventurer creation example. I don't think we really need to go through that. It's pretty straightforward and numbered. Yeah, they do have a pretty lengthy like combat scenario later that I think would be really helpful to go over. We love examples of play.
Yeah,
and I think this can be really helpful. Again, we're not going to read through this, but I really like that it's here. Because anyone that does have any questions about it, I have read this, and it walks you straight through every single part of it. Maybe we can just look at what it says for the top, where we're talking about like strength and stuff like that. I assume it's just yeah. Starts with the following equipment, 2 pieces of armor. Yeah. Anyway, yes, so that is a character, and then there is an example of a filled out character sheet here. Lind the Scald with a picture and everything.
Way better than you did.
Well, I got a 12 and a 13 on 2. Yeah, they did. I rolled a 5, a 6, a 12, and a 13, and their lowest score was a 9.
Yeah, look at their vigor and vitality too.
Yeah, what the fuck was their vigor and vitality? 4 and a 5, so the resilience is 9.
9 resilience, yeah.
Yeah, and I got a 3. Fuck. My person's just dead. They're just dead. I just let them die and I re-roll a character. That's what I do. Concepts of play. So this is cool. This is a really nice breakdown here. Resilience is the ability to avoid damage in combat, representing your personal drive, toughness, and instinct, calculated by adding your vigor and vitality, which you already did. Damage reduces your resilience, and drinking mead or resting at a bonfire restores it. That's cool.
Yeah, I totally get that.
Get drunk or warm and you're solid. And if an attack reduces your resilience exactly to 0, you roll on the omens table, which is cool. And again, in on hyperlinks. Defense. Before calculating damage to resilience, subtract the target's defense value from the result of physical damage rolled. So when we talk about like the warrior that had 3 defense because they have a shield and some armor or whatever, you subtract that before you get to resilience. Magic bypasses mundane armor, which I love, and defense does not reduce magical armor. And wearing any armor weighs you down. If you're wearing bulky armor, make all deck saves at disadvantage. That sucks. Inventory slots. You start with 10 inventory slots. Most items take up 1, bulky items take up 2. That's very into the odd. Anyone with full inventory is all slots filled is reduced to 0 resilience, and you can't carry more items than your inventory allows. That sucks at but I think it uses a lot of like, there's other things in the game that use up your inventory slots. So you can fill it up with like scars or different things, and then you're screwed on your resilience. So basically all you have is your defense before you start hitting strength if you have too much shit on you. So don't be a hoarder. Saves. A save is a roll to avoid bad outcomes from risky choices and circumstances. Roll a d20 for an appropriate ability score if you roll equal or under, because this is a d20 roll under system, as is Into the Odd, right? You pass, otherwise you fail. A 1 always succeeds, 20 always fails. Some situations, saves are made with a bonus, and that's when you roll 2 and take either the highest or the lowest. Mead flask and healing, filled with mead brewed by the gods and infused with the Iounds. You know what we skipped over was there was a pronunciation guide, which I think is really helpful. Yeah. Iounds everlasting apples. Sipping this mead restores.
Eduns.
Eduns. Oh, that's a D with a little. I got it. Restores health and heals injuries. So if you have some apple mead, some of that hard cider, you restore health and heal injuries. 1 sip takes an action, restores 10 res. I have 3. And clears 2 points of fatigue. The flash. Oh, I think fatigue takes up inventory spots, and I think there are times that when we were reading earlier, when you do like your clobbering or whatever, if you do that skill, you get a point of fatigue. You start with 2 sips. The amount of mead in the flask can be increased under the right circumstances, and the mead flask does not take up an inventory slot, which is nice.
Good.
Another beautiful illustration here. This one's very green, of a girl in or underneath a tree, just doing stuff.
She's stretching, you know. She's
just stretching it out. Yeah.
Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning. Status effects. Cursed is the effect. Your resilience is halved until the curse is lifted or dispelled. Deprived, you can't recover resilience or take reactions until you rest at a bonfire. That's cool. Poisoned, you take damage every turn, bypassing defense. A successful strength save or resting in a bonfire cleanses a poison. Man, if you fail a bunch of saves,
poison can fuck you up.
Damn. Fatigue, your actions and items weigh heavily on you. Fatigue is caused by casting spells, using certain skills, and rare monster abilities. Each fatigue occupies one inventory slot and lasts till the adventure rests at bonfire. So that's what it is. Like, if you have 5 open slots after your base inventory, right? You might pick up 1 or 2 things. So say you're at 7. So you have to be really careful about using a bunch of spells and skills that would take you to 10, because then your resilience automatically goes to 0.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Gotta be real. So basically, if you start
I guess that makes sense, because like you're fatigued, you're tired, you can't carry as much stuff, you know?
Yeah. But I mean, also in like a more like abstract sense, it says your actions and items weigh heavily on you. So basically it's saying that like your inventory is not just your physical inventory, but can also be like your like well-being inventory. Right. So as you get scars, yeah. As you get scars or make hard choices, it can weigh on you and take up inventory slots and stuff. I like that. I think it's a cool concept. Again, I like the concept of inventory slots as a way to hold on to things besides stuff. But I think personally for me, I kind of like inventory management in the stuff aspect. So to lose it to things like fatigue or scars and stuff like that. Fair. Yeah. But again, I think it's an incredibly clever concept. I would never have thought like, oh yeah, like when you're fatigued, your fatigue takes up that, or like a wound takes up an inventory slot. And like the more wounded you are, the less stuff you can carry, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Clearing fatigue. During a moment of calm, you can spend 1 soul to clear D4 points. This is the first time we're talking about souls here. You gotta see souls. Now. Yeah. Oh man, no inline hyperlink on the souls? Is souls like next? It is. Okay, so it's not a big deal. You can also attempt to clear fatigue through introspection, such as reflecting on your ancestors, meditating in nature, or singing a song to lift your spirits. Again,
I often reflect on my ancestors.
Yeah, they're dead. Huh. I know nothing about them because I'm American. Yeah. Roll a d6 and compare the result to your current vigor score. Man, I'm always rolling over my vigor. If you roll under, fuck. My vigor is, I think, either 2. It's 2. So I got to roll under a 2. I clear that many points of fatigue. So even if I get under a 2, it's a 1. I can only clear 1 point of fatigue. Goddamn, my shitty roll. If you roll over, you lose a point of vigor. Never testing that. I literally have a 2. You can attempt to clear fatigue in this manner once per day. Bonfires link the 9 realms and offer a beacon of hope to souls lost in the dark. So we're really hitting the Souls-like section of this. Very using souls and resting at bonfires. Yeah. So rested bonfire restores all lost resilience, clears all fatigue from your inventory, and resets ability score loss. Interesting. But again, ability score loss is basically your health, because strength loss is HP loss, basically.
Right. Yeah.
Resting in a bonfire also causes most slain foes to return to life. Damn, they really made this like a video game. I like it. Yeah. And I definitely like that it's a 2-player aspect to it. Powerful or intelligent foes such as gods, Jotuns.
There you go.
All right. Or dragons are not reborn in this manner and remain dead.
No S. Jotun is the plural.
Jotun. What the? Okay. When resting in a bonfire, you can choose to spend souls to grow your power. And then death. I do like this. Prepare to die often. Upon death, you wake up at the last bonfire rested at with all your current items. Again, souls as fuck here.
Very souls.
This is a great time for this game to come out too, with Elden Ring being so fucking like...
What's that?
Good. It's this video game?
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, it's pretty indie. It's not super popular at all, realistically.
Definitely didn't sell 12 million copies in its first month.
It didn't. No, not at all. So this reminds me of that, obviously, since we're talking about. So lose 1 point of total vigor for every death. Fuck, I'd be dead. Like, I'd be super dead. Yeah, if your vigor reaches 0,
kind of a fucking
so dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. If your total vigor reaches 0, your adventure is lost forever in the darkness. 1 point of vigor can be restored by a full day of communing with a scald or by burning a sacrificial bundle. I'm just burning bundles all day. How would I increase vigor here? Souls. Big section on souls here. The might of the gods has been scattered across the 9 realms. Fragments of their power exist as soul remnants, energy manifested and crystallized in a physical form. That's cool. You're literally in a post-Ragnarok world picking up chunks of dead gods, and you can use those chunks of dead god to power yourself. That's neat.
Oh, it's literally just like Dark Souls.
Crazy. You may discover soul remnants in hidden and secret places of great power. Soul remnants are small and take up no inventory space. Powerful beings such as Jotun, dragons, or demons may also be imbued with scattered essence of the gods. Overcoming these foes through combat grants you souls. Breaking a soul remnant will imbue you with the souls held within, and souls are delicate and are discarded when you die. You have 1 chance to recover drop souls after you wake up at the bonfire, die again after retrieving them, and then lost forever. Again, souls AF. As souls represent, this is spending souls. As souls represent the innate power of the gods, you can absorb this power to grow stronger. You can do this when resting in a bonfire, and when resting, you can spend 1 soul to permanently increase any of the following attributes: strength, dex, wits, spirit, or vitality. Not vigor. I'm dead. I got 2 vigor. Rare merchants and travelers trade in souls. Certain spells or relics can coalesce soul remnants from imbued souls.
It's funny that you can't increase your vigor that way, and you rolled.
And my vigor is a fucking 2. I'm glad it's not a 1. At least I can increase my vitality. Gold, wealth and treasure. Gold and most coins have little value. Treasures take forms of weapon, armor, spells. I like that. I love. This is like what I would do in a game. I don't ever want a list of item costs.
Right.
I would straight up say barter for everything. Wherever you're buying something, the cost is supply and demand, motherfucker. Like, what do you think? And barter. And I really like that. So most treasure, it says, is going to be weapons, spells, relics, and things like that. Love that. Colin, killing it so far. Wait, nope. Got a list of equipment. Not prices, though. So that's great. So do we want to really cruise through? You want to just cruise through?
It's like, it's the stuff that you would think is in a Norse game. You have like some iron stuff, you have some plated stuff, you have leather, you have reindeer hide, you know, for shields, you have bucklers, kite shields, linden wood shields, which is like a round wooden shield, essentially. Weapons, you have an ash spear, which is a spear made from ash wood, which is very, very Norse. Hammers, mauls, broadaxe. I don't think we need to deep dive. It's exactly what you think would be in a Norse.
Yeah. Fur cloak, iron helmet. Yes. Yeah.
Cudgel, you know. I think there are a couple of cooler weapons. Like I think the grave sword's pretty cool. Maybe it's just a name. And I'm picturing as a massive
weapon
sword.
Skills, frenzy and the sunder. It is rare and bulky, and it has a D10, which looks like the highest damage dice. So yeah, it looks like a badass big fucking sword. A just breaking maul.
Guts, you know.
Guts.
My guts cosplay.
Yeah. Well, let's see what a grave sword does. It's a long, wide, double-edged blade held with 2 hands, unusual design, and extremely heavy. Yeah, straight up fucking gut sword.
Shout out. Yeah, and then equipment skills are after that, and I think some of those are cool. Let's both just pick an equipment skill, maybe.
Yeah, no, we should definitely, because some of these are really, really interesting. I know, and some of them we talked about. You talked about backstab already. Right. You dash behind your enemy and inflict a critical strike. On a success, you strike for double damage. On a failure, there's a retaliatory attack from the target at double damage. So don't miss. And then a dire strike. Follow up with an extra attack that bypasses defense. We need to get to the point where it talks about what a dire strike is.
Yeah.
But we'll get
I will
there.
say that at the very end of this page that we're currently on, the rage ability, which is call upon your animal spirit, which imbues you with bestial strength. For D4 rounds, gain 3 defense and make all melee attacks at double damage. When the rage ends, make a spirit save. You can also choose to fail. On a success, the animal spirit departs and you regain control, but you add 2 fatigue. On a failure, the beast takes control, you lose 1 spirit and continue to rage with a 50% chance of attacking a friendly target. So you can just choose to fail. I'm like, no, I'm going to go full bear mode.
Like, yeah, I'm going beast mode. Yeah.
Yeah.
Literal beast mode.
Literal beast mode.
There's another really cool one I like too, was the flame shield. You manifest a fiery shield in your offhand to deflect an attack. Yeah, spirit save to avoid all damage, but it causes fatigue. So that's really, really cool. Again, I like that it is really cleverly done that some of your abilities that are really cool cause fatigue, which takes up an inventory slot and stuff like that. Like, it really, really discourages you from holding on to a lot of stuff because you need room to fuck about. To
fatigue, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is good. You're a Viking-esque person. You're not supposed to be fucking hoarding a bunch of stuff. Like,
I love when there's like 6 to 10 inventory slots and it's just like, and everything you have on you, including armor and weapons, takes up spots. Like, you're like in D&D, when I was playing D&D a lot, at a certain point I just always gave somebody like bag of holding. Always. In the first like 4 sessions.
Yeah, you guys are just already carrying around more stuff than the human could possibly carry around.
Oh yeah. So, if you look at D&D Beyond, which again you shouldn't need an entire website just to keep track of a character.
Hey, D&D Wizards of the Coast owns it now. So
D&D Direct, baby, direct right into your fucking brain. I would routinely be like, wow, damn, I'm carrying 250 pounds of shit on me right now.
Yeah.
And I'm not encumbered. How? Yeah, it's crazy. With my 12 strength, I can still leap 30
my
feet.
wizard with 8 strength is carrying like 200 pounds of stuff.
No. So some cool items in here. If you want to pick one, I know that there was one that I really looked at earlier that I wanted to talk about, and that was the Memento of Defeat. So this is feet picks.
Sorry, repeat that?
The Memento of Defeat, broken and rusted sword. By holding and focusing on past failures, lose all your held souls and awaken at the last bonfire rested at. I guess this is like a quick get out of jail free card from a boss. Like, you're about to go down and you can just like focus, shed your souls, and then just bounce back to the bonfire.
So it's literally like that one item that you have in every Souls game, where you can ditch all your current experience that you've gained and just go back to a bonfire.
Yeah. Again,
cool.
This is Souls-like.
That's not a critique. I'm just saying, like, oh, it's exactly that. Like,
yeah. I love how well, like, I mean, this is basically just a pure adaptation of a Dark Souls game.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. Which
every aspect of it
needed. So
yeah, like I mean, the fact that Dark Souls 5e came out, but this exists, is a travesty. Just play this.
Well, didn't Dark Souls 5? Isn't everyone complaining how bad it is?
Yeah, it's garbage. It's absolute trash.
So, we have the actual right here.
Yeah, but one thing that I love is how well it's adapted. Like, I mean, they basically said, I'm going to make Dark Souls a game. I'm going to give it a Norse vibe, and I'm going to use Knave into the Cairn to do it. And they fucking did. Like, they took all the best parts of Cairn, Knave, and Indiad. They took all the coolest parts of Dark Souls and made a well... I hate the term balance, but like, in that it's not... Really I don't mean like balanced combat, but like, yeah, it's not broken. Like, it makes sense. Everything in it just makes sense. So it's just a really incredibly well done adaptation. And the other cool thing about Runecairn too is it would be super easy if you wanted to play like a Dark Souls game to just reskin the Norse stuff out of this if you really wanted to. Literally just change some names. That's all you had to fucking do.
You could be in Lord Ron and fucking, or you could be in the lands between, man,
Yeah. But again, so far, like really, really, really well done Souls adaptation. Was there an item that you wanted to talk about at all?
I liked a couple of them. I really like the skeleton key. Like, I know it's a basic one, but it's cool to have. It's an ancient key crafted from the finger bones of a thief, and I just like that. It gives you a 1 in 20 or a 2 in or 1 in 10 chance, essentially, or either a 1 or 2 on a d20 to just unlock a door. It does break on 20 though, but I just like it. It's a useful item.
10% chance of opening any door and a 5% chance of breaking it.
Yeah,
it's dope. I do like that.
I like it's a very utilitarian item. You know?
I dig it. One of the other things that I wanted to look at, just because it comes up, is the sacrificial bundle. Crude figure of a person made from moss, twine, and ash. Burn at a bonfire to restore 1 point of vigor. I'd be fucking bundle. I'd be just making little people all day because I only got 2. Like boom, burn, burn, burn. Yeah. So a lot of really cool items here. There's some illustrations here at the bottom. More of the I assume these are the Colin and the Sueur illustrations. Pretty simple like line work and designs, but definitely gets the point across on what they are. And then it's the same list that we just talked about, but it is in an item list, and basically it just lists size, rarity, things like that. 2 slots, rare, small, things like that. Yeah. Torch, tar, some additional things, a net, a pick, horn. So that's cool. Okay, so getting into combat, because that's the most important part of tabletop games, right?
Yeah. We only play these games for combat, right? It's not for the story. That's it.
Yeah. No. I mean, I like to kill stuff. Yeah. So, combat, roughly 10 seconds of in-game time, and it's comprised of turns.
Makes sense.
You can move up to 40 feet. As an action, you can move up to 40 feet, cast a spell, attack, move again, or other reasonable action. I like that.
Me too.
So it says move again. So I assume that means you get to, move up to 40 feet, cast a spell, attack, move again. Those are 2 separate things, right? You can move up to 40 feet and then do one of the other things.
Move up to 40 feet, cast a spell, attack, move again, or other reasonable action. No?
Yeah. Do you think it's just one thing, or do you think it's a move and an action?
I mean, it says or. So it's any of these things. I don't understand what move again, like, if an action is moving, do you get...
That's what I'm saying. I wonder if it's move and then do something, but then you think it would, spell that out a little bit more. I would let people move and take an action. Declare actions before rolling. If risky, the warden calls for a save. All actions, attack, and movements occur simultaneously. I like the reactions in this. Again, it's straight up fucking Souls. Adventurers can react to an enemy attack and attempt to either block, deflect, avoid, or otherwise mitigate damage. Some reactions are only available through key items, which you talked about. There's a parry action on the Linden Shield.
Yeah.
But all adventurers have the following reactions, and they crack me up in a good way. Roll. Roll. Make a dex save to roll away from an enemy's attack, avoiding all damage, but it causes fatigue, which, as does the game.
Yeah.
The
goal is to roll. If it's a big enemy, you just got to roll under their legs. You just got to poke up at them. You have to really unlock in combat. You can't be locked on because it's really fuck with your camera.
My only question, I guess, with the rules here, it says make a dex save to roll away from an enemy's attack, avoiding all damage. And it causes fatigue. So just if I succeed at rolling away, I cause fatigue. What if I fail at it? Do I still cause fatigue?
I would still say yes, you cause fatigue.
So just by attempting it, you fatigue.
Yeah, I would.
And then withdraw, make a dex save to disengage from combat and retreat, avoiding all damage. Failing the save means you escape, but still take damage from the attack. I like that.
Okay. Yeah,
roll them a draw. I mean, you're literally doing the whole Aikido circling thing where you're just going around and around waiting. Dude, if you mix this with the loop combat system from Kingdoms, remember how they would do that?
Yeah, totally. That could be really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that loop combat system is the most Dark Souls part of that fucking Kingdoms,
Yeah, but it's so cool and well done, and I like how you can roll to hit different parts of the loop to switch it up and stuff. So I really like that a lot. Turns. The warden telegraphs the actions taken by NPCs or monster. If surprised at the start of combat, the adventurer makes a dex save to act. for their opponents, and failing the save also means the adventurers can't use a reaction on the first turn. I like that. That's really cool.
Yeah, that is
so
really cool.
Save against surprise, and if you fail, you can't use a reaction. So no rolling, no nothing. Attacking and damaging. Attack lowers resilience, but damage is reduced by defense. We know about that. Roll weapon die and subtract defense. Deal damage to the target's resilience. Magic bypasses mundane armor. Unarmed attacks are 1d4. And then you have attack modifier. So this is what we talked about earlier. So there's no... It doesn't look like there's a lot of like... necessarily advantage to rolls. Like
no,
your actual
it's
roll.
Damage. They do it directly to damage.
Yeah. So damage advantage literally says if you attack from a position of strength against a helpless foe or through a daring maneuver, you roll for damage twice and take the higher. Same thing with damage disadvantage. If you roll from a weak position, you roll damage twice and take the lower. There are certain skills or items that also grant damage advantage or disadvantage. This is the one that I questioned when I was reading it. Multiple attackers. If multiple attackers target the same foe, well, I guess it makes sense because this is generally a 2-player game, so there wouldn't be multiple people. It'd be bad guys against you. Okay, so that makes sense. Roll all damage dice and keep the single highest result. So if you got 3 people attacking you, you would roll all 3 of their damages, and you would take
the highest damage.
The highest one.
I mean, that makes it, since it's one person and then there's 3 people attacking you, that makes it more livable. Because if you take all 3 damages, you're like, well, you're just fucked then. So.
Yeah, you're literally dead. So I think that's a really, really solid way to balance the option of having multiple bad guys in combat without literally fucking killing the person. And then dual and 2-handed weapons. If attacking with 2 weapons at the same time or 1 weapon held in both hands, you gain damage advantage. Dual wield, baby. That's what I did in Skyrim. Here's Dire Strike, finally. Some weapons or enemies have special abilities that are triggered when rolling max damage. That's what it is. If you roll max damage...
So it's just if it has a Dire Strike, then you can use it when you roll max damage. If it doesn't have Dire Strike, you don't get Dire Strike.
Again, I think it's really interesting that the advantage and everything, like the Dire Strike, all this stuff, all comes on to the damage roll, not your attack roll.
Yeah. Huh. Wait, is there...
I don't remember seeing anything that talks about like getting advantage on your initial attack roll. Almost all of it is damage advantage and disadvantage.
Where's the attack roll rule?
There really isn't one. There's just actions.
Okay, is it into the odd where it's just you don't make an attack roll, you just do damage?
I think so, because declare action before rolling dice. If risky, the warden calls for save. All actions, attack, and movements occur simultaneously.
I know I'm tired. I might have missed a part, but
I do feel like with some of these rules, I feel like it's a little bit of a high expectation for you to know what some of them are, because some of them aren't explained super thoroughly. You know what I mean?
A little vague.
A little bit on some of them. I wouldn't mind just a little bit more clarification on some of the things we've gone over a little bit. We have had a couple questions
so far today.
Yeah. So, like, for example, like when we hit warrior and it was like parentheses strength, dex 3. It's like, okay, I get where the dex 3 comes from, but what's the strength? And it's just like the assumption is, well, that's probably the skill you should put the most in. It doesn't say that anywhere, you know? I think it'd be helpful to have that explained a little bit better. And this situation as well, like there's nothing. So do you just auto hit on an attack roll?
I'm looking. I think you do. I think it's like into the odd, where it's just like, you just roll damage.
Because everything else is saves that it talks about, right? Is a risky situation.
Yeah, everything else is saves, which is also into the odd.
Yeah. Well, there you go. All right. Cool piece of red art, which is the same kind of style as we talked before, but it's 2 dudes fighting, swinging swords, wearing chainmail and dope helmets. Really, really cool illustration. Yeah. And then immediately under that is another set of dudes fighting. This is an older man and a younger man, also swinging swords at each other. Old dude is looking displeased.
Dude, he has some intense fucking eyes. He's about to take this kid's head off.
Seriously, he's whining. This is Sammy Sosa right here. He is really swinging away at this one. Do you want to pick up? Do you want to pick up with Blast?
I'll take it at Blast. Blast attacks affect all targets in the area. Roll separately for each affected target. Blast refers to anything from explosion to huge cleaving onslaughts to the impact of a meteorite. So big booms, big attack booms. That's a blast for you. So you get blasted. If unsure how many targets can be affected, roll the damage die for a result. Which I think that's cool. If you're not really sure, you'll get what you get. Ability score. If any of an adventurer's ability scores are reduced to 0, they die. Ability loss is reset when resting a bonfire, which we went over before, and some certain magic items. Critical damage. Once a target reaches 0 res, any additional damage reduces strength, which I think we said before as well, and triggers a critical damage save. Target must roll under strength to avoid critical damage. Very into the odd. This includes adventurers, NPCs, and monsters. Any target that fails a critical damage save dies.
Damn.
Death. Yeah. On death, an adventurer wakes up at the last bonfire. The rest of that. Sorry about that. They keep all inventory items, but drop unspent souls at the location of their death. Resurrected adventurers can retrieve their dropped souls. Y'all played this game before, Dark Souls? And drop souls are permanently lost at death if not retrieved. So totally works the same way. Omens are messages from spirits, or spirits, the gods, or the land, and can represent fortune or favor. When an attack reduces an adventurer's resilience to exactly 0, this triggers an omen. Roll a d8 on the omen table to determine the event and outcome. Do you have a d8 on you?
Well, yeah, I got a d8. I rolled a 6.
Can we read it? You want to read it?
All right. As if the dead of winter, you see your breath billow in a misty cloud as the heat drains from your body. Make a strength save. If you fail, gain 2 points of fatigue from the cold.
Cool.
That's stinky.
I rolled a 3.
Okay.
The ground trembles and shakes as if a titan approaches. Make a dex save. If you fail, you're knocked to the ground.
Interesting. I like these omens. And you can just come up with omen after omen after omen. That'd be dope. So we have a combat example. Why don't we read through? Damn, it's a long. We might not necessarily read through the whole thing. But I will be. Why don't I be the warden and you can be Amy?
Okay, cool. You want me to be Lind the Scald as well?
I guess that's me because I'm the. So Lind the Scald enters a darkened, ruined, overgrown, and ancient. The corridor leads north, and figures are heard shuffling. You must be Amy playing Lind.
Cool. I'll be Amy. I walk further down the corridor, steel sword in one hand and runic focus in the other. That's how Amy sounds.
Yeah, like a boy named Sue. You are a Scald named. So Warden, further down the ruin, you see an armored form wandering aimlessly. Its skin is decayed and drawn, and it's holding a rusted spear. It's a Draugr, and it hasn't spotted you yet.
I'm going to run up and cut it down with my sword.
Okay, you rush forward and slash at the undead warrior. Roll your damage.
I roll a 5 on d6.
The Draugr has 1 defense from its armor, so it takes 4 damage. The Draugr turns and raises its spear to attack.
I gather my will and unleash the power of the gods through my voice. I shout, no! I'm choosing to use Lynn's shout skill as a reaction to avoid attack. I will roll a d20 and attempt to roll under my spirit of 16. I got a 5, and it's a success.
Nice. You
emit
a shock
voice today, bro. We're sleepy.
Bro, listen, I'm going to bed. You're waking up. We all know this. Anyone that's listening to the podcast. Yeah. Anyway, you emit
the whole thing.
You emit a shock wave and knock the Draugr off balance, deflecting the attack. Take off 1 fatigue for the shout.
That thing's not so tough. I strike out with my sword. Amy rolls a 4 on a d6 for attack.
The Dragon takes 3 damage. It's not looking very good. It snarls and thrusts the spear. Wait a minute. How much defense does this guy have? 1 defense. 4, so that's 3 for me. Yeah, it snarls and thrusts its spear.
I'll take the hit since I've got decent defense.
I'm going to apologize to everyone in podcast land for Hunter not choosing to just speak, but yelling for 5 minutes as we do this. So the Warden rolls a 5 on their D6 for damage. They subtract Lynn's defense rating of 2 from the damage. Oof. You take 3 points of damage.
That's it. I clutch my runic focus tightly and weave a tail of Thor the Thunderer lightning spear. He rolls a D8 for damage, for spell, and gets a 5. She marks another point of fatigue. So there are no attack rolls. I don't know if you've picked that up as we've been going through this, but there are no attack rolls.
Right,
just like Into the Eye.
Which is exactly why a nice example of combat is beautiful, and this is fantastic. Good job. Warden, magic bypasses Draugr armor, therefore it takes full damage. Because the attack reduces its resilience below 0, it takes the remaining 4 damage to its strength. The Draugr now needs to make a critical damage strength save or die. The Warden rolls 16 on a d20, failing to roll under the Draugr's new strength score of 7. It crumples to the ground, a blackened husk from the lightning strike. You have defeated it.
Cool. I think we're probably good there, right?
Yeah, I think that explained all the questions that we had.
Yeah.
I mean, and then there's still like a full page of more stuff to go on. Yeah.
Yeah, so hey,
but
if you
read
have
that.
questions, you can buy the fucking book.
Buy the fucking book, guys. Seriously. And then before we get into Magic, we're going to take a quick break. So we will be back shortly. See you soon. Hello, and welcome back to the weekly scroll here on the Adventure Archive. Today we're going over Runecairn, and we're going to head into Magic. You want to take over some Magic?
Yeah, magic is the remnants of the gods and draws attention when used. Some see magic as proof the gods live on in the new world. Runestones are smooth and delicately polished stones with an inscribed spell hand-etched in runes, used by seers to affect magical change in the world. Sagas, not a physical object, but a learned and memorized tale passed down from the gods. Skalds can recite sagas to channel the power of the gods through speech. Flame runes, words of power inscribed on fire grippers that allow pyres to shape and control flame. Runestones and sagas contain a single spell and take up 1 slot that cannot be transcribed or created. Instead, they are recovered from places like tombs, dungeons, and runes. Fire grippers can only store 1 flame rune at a time, and they are exceedingly rare. Scrolls are similar to runestones and sagas. However, they do not take up inventory slots. They do not cause fatigue. They disappear after 1 use. They're your single-use item. Casting spells. Seers can cast spells by holding a runestone in one hand and the staff in the other. They read the spell from the runestone and focus the magic through the staff. Skalds cast spells by holding a runic focus and speaking the saga aloud. They tell you a nice little poem or story. Pyres cast spells by channeling fire through their grippers. Casting all types of magic takes a toll. After every spell, add a fatigue to the inventory, occupying 1 slot.
Damn.
Yeah. So I mean,
Magic.
Yeah, magic's kind of costly, you know.
But I think a lot of the big martial moves cause fatigue too. Anyway, like every time you roll, you get a fatigue and stuff. Yeah. Given time and safety, you can enhance a spell, e.g., affecting multiple targets, increasing the power without an additional cost. If deprived or in danger, the Warden may require you to make either a wit or spell save, depending on the spellcaster, to avoid any ill effects from casting, because you're already kind of beat up and feeling shitty. And if you're going to try to draw from your inner well of magic strength, you might feel shittier. Consequences of failure are on par with the intended effect. They may result in added fatigue,
destruction of runestone, the saga slipping from memory, injury, or death. Oh, that would fucking suck. Only spells that cause fatigue are subject to ill effects. Cool.
Interesting.
Relics. Let's see. We have items imbued with a magical spell or power that do not cause fatigue. Relics usually have a limited use as well as a recharge condition. The Eyes of Odin, 1 charge, a crystalline orb, the brilliant red flaw, grants a glimpse into the chosen realm. You can recharge it by bathing the eye in the tears of a god. You have a mischief horn, a mistletoe dart, shout out, and then a skull beacon.
Skull beacon, dude. I like that there's an orb. You could totally just like. What was it? Well, I was gonna try to say the meme, but then I forgot it. You were the meme.
Oh, ponder! I can ponder my orb.
Yeah, you can ponder that orb, son. I do like skull beacon. 1 charge, charting crumbling skull with a dim glimmer in the sockets, glows brightly when held, and you can recharge by burning it on a roaring bonfire, which is cool. But what does it do? Oh, it's a torch. It's a free torch.
Ah, cool.
And you can just like put it on your bonfire when you're chilling and just charge up your skull torch.
Yeah. And there's the staff of walking wield, which is on the next page that I didn't read. But yeah, that's another one. Yeah, you got items. Now we're moving on to rings. This is a Dark Souls game, so of course you're going to wear a ring. Many magical rings may be found, but none of them should be used lightly. Adventurers can wear up to 2 rings at any one time. You want to pick an example, and I'll pick an example?
Sure. Let's just pick Silva's ring. A delicate wooden ring entwined by sharp thorns. You gain 2 extra inventory slots, but lose 1 vigor. Well, fuck, I can't wear that one because I'd be fucking dead. Like, literally dead. I got no vigor.
I'm going to read the red berserk ring. Crudely shaped bone ring with a glinting rough cut ruby. Reroll 1s on damage dice for melee attacks, but lose all defense bonus from armor. That's fucking rough.
That is rough.
Yeah. Cool. Spell list. So we have some spells. We're going to read just a couple of them. Let's start with the Allfather's Eye, just because I like it. The Allfather's Eye, you can see through a magical floating eyeball that flies at your command. Very, very, that's what happens to Odin's Eye, right? He doesn't toss it in the well. He just flies around him. Let's see, another beast form. You and your possessions transform into a mundane animal. You can finally be your werewolf self. Another one we have is gravity shift. You can change the direction of gravity, but only for yourself. I love super utility spells like this. They're not directly damaging, but they do give you the ability to interact with the world in a really interesting way. Probably enough for spells.
The Seers? Yeah. So that's just a Seer spell list.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a Seer
spell
spell
list.
list.
Yeah, another cool graphic here, all in purple of a woman kind of in clouds or kind of like in the... What's up? Yeah, it is a witch. She's definitely got a spell happening in her hands. The next are the Scald spells. So these have like a different vibe to them, like Sense Evil, which is what it sounds like. Pacify, Purify, Heal. This one seems a lot more nice, like cleric-y almost, like a lot of protection and resistance and helpful stuff versus the Seer spells, which were like Elemental Wall, Fireball, Poison Cloud.
Yeah, I could see it.
So a lot more like support spells in the Seer spells. And then a cool piece of art, again, same kind of style of I'm a person with long hair in a chair in the middle of the forest, just chilling.
This next piece of art, though, is fucking awesome.
Is this the oh, damn. Yeah.
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 The guy
it is
fucking sick.
Literally, like person like with hair, like just in like a loincloth, with a blade kind of coming down, and it's just wreathed in flames. This is probably my favorite piece in the book so far. It's so cool. Like the amount of like movement and like, I want to say dynamism, but you know what I mean? Like it's such a dynamic piece.
Yeah.
It's very really, cool. Really, it looks really, really beautiful. And those are from flame rune spells. Did I miss some flame rune spells earlier? They're just not as many.
There's not as many.
Gotcha. Flame rune spell, warp flame, shape and control mundane. No, Muspel's child. Become engulfed in living flame, gain immunity to fire, and punish melee attacks against you with d6 fire damage and last for 1d4 rounds. Well, that's obviously the good one.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, you want that child.
No, you want that Muspel. You know that.
I'm not a huge fan of this, of like 80% of this page being just a big giant wide open space.
Yeah, that was an interesting choice.
But it's the very end of basically Runecairn, but with some stuff added in. So like now we're hitting part 2. But since it's the very last part of the chapter, that would have been nice.
Didn't put anything there like a filler art piece at all.
Yeah. Okay, so we're getting into advanced rules. A wayfarer should not step 1 foot with no weapons to hand, for none may know when a spear is needed on a strange road.
Hell yeah.
Another cool piece of art with a cool like wintry mountainy background. This is like another kind of cairn, but it looks like this one's been, it's either it's a different pile or it's been like broken down.
Yeah.
And it's got like it's your background.
Yeah, it is my.
For those that are not in watching, you're in podcast land, not vodcast land. Hunter likes to put a piece of art from the book as his background each time, which is cool.
Also, if you're just listening and you're not watching, you're missing out on how stunningly beautiful both Ryan and I are. We're two of the most handsome men who've ever lived. If you don't believe me, please check out our YouTube.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. We need to remember we
usually get a lot more handsome like an hour into the episode, so you really have to sit and watch the entire first hour.
The whole thing. Yeah. We really need to be better about like the call to action. Like, guys, our YouTube is picking up steam. Go fucking subscribe. It doesn't cost you a thing. But yeah. So we're heading into chapter 2, which is the advanced rules. So I'll quickly go through the overview. There's an introduction, which introduces the core rules versus the advanced rules. There's 2 advanced classes, the Berserker and the Pyre, which is another melee class with the Berserker. And I think a lot of the stuff we talked about already, like the Grippers and the Flame Runes go with the Pyre, which is a flame caster. It's got rules for going beyond 2 players, for doing solo and for doing more than the 2-person, the Warden, the Adventurer. More stuff on solo play. The Delve Generator, which is cool. It's one-off dungeons. Summoning an ally and invasions. Again, this is Dark Souls as a video game. Or the video game Dark Souls as a tabletop role-playing game done well. So you can literally be invaded by black fetches, which is interesting. And then another cool piece of art. This one's very purple, and it looks like potentially like a marriage scene in a I'm gonna say tavern, but it's probably like a longhouse or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I scrolled too fast. So hitting the advanced classes, you want to hit that Berserker?
Yeah, Berserker. In another life, you might have leaped raging into battle, striking fear in friend and foe alike, or hunted the wilderness for death and glory. You refuse all armor and blood sang in your ears. Berserker is a strength-based class with 0 extra defense. But you don't wear fucking armor. You're a madman or woman, or they. You're a mad person. You have your beast stone as your key item.
A mad person.
Yeah,
you're a mad person.
Okay, listen, I'm just trying to make sure everyone knows they're included in this. You have the Grave Sword, which is sick. We were talking about that earlier. That big bulky gut style sword. D10 damage, which is wild. You have a fur cloak. Makes sense. Doesn't do anything for you. You have your sacred stockfish, which is an item we did not read earlier, but it was up there. And then you have 6 free slots. You can charge as your reaction from your figurine. Rage, which is a rage from your figurine, which is the ability I talked about earlier, where you summon in you imbue yourself with your animal spirit. And you go full rage mode.
That's just for the podcast.
Like, you want to see me transform into a wolf? Frenzy from your sword, which is using spirit save to make an extra attack, I believe. And then Sunder from your sword, which you can tear through your opponent's armor for d6 damage. Very cool. Very, very aggressive class.
Mm-hmm. And then we have the Pyre. In another life, you might have burned spirits from the dead, stoked the smithy's forge, or battled frost demons in the mountains. Your hands channeled the sparks of life and the cleansing fire of death. Your magic is the oldest of all, furious and hungry. So you primarily use spirit. You have 1 defense. Your key item is your fire grippers, which you talked about earlier. Your defense comes from your 1 defense plated leather. You also have a blacksmith's hammer, a flame rune, which is the Sueur flame rune, a kindled bale, and 5 free slots. Flame shield, which I talked about earlier. You manifest a fiery shield as one of your skills. You can ignite, which means you channel ancient magic to ignite your weapon in blazing fire, which allows you to do double damage and bypass mundane armor. And the Sueur spell emits a blazing steam of violent flame, burning your target for d8 damage over 60 feet, and you can smash with your hammer. You bludgeon your opponent with damage advantage. And then we get into solo play. You can play with yourself.
Why? Okay.
I didn't say anything that wasn't correct.
Solo play. Runecairn can also be played solo, with 1 player acting as both warden and adventurer. Journey through an existing adventure, such as Beneath the Broken Sword, which you'll find in this book, or use the random delve generator in the next section to build a dungeon crawl. When you reach a moment of choice or conflict, a time when you normally look to the warden to facilitate the outcome, consider consulting an oracle, a method of deriving meaning from randomness. An oracle can be a set of tarot cards, a system from another ttrpg, an online resource, or a mobile app. Wardensaga includes a set of random tables that serve as an oracle, offering a way to interpret random rolls and runes of the younger Futhark to determine the result of a choice or action. Journaling. Chronicle your journey through the delve in a journal or diary. Be as brief or as descriptive as you like. This is a saga of your adventure, translated and retold through the ages. Use the delve generator sheet available from the Runecairn website to document your encounters and map out your dungeon. Favor or sorrow. If an outcome isn't immediately clear, ask the question of the oracle. If it's a simple yes or no, does the troll see me? Or a straightforward check, can I convince a warrior to help me? Roll 2d6 on the favor or sorrow table, which we will get to. An outcome of favor is broadly positive, while an outcome of sorrow is broadly negative. Kind of makes sense based on their names. A complication adds an extra obstacle or development to the outcome. For instance, you can convince the warrior to help you, but they demand 1 of your weapons in exchange. Yeah, cool. Makes sense, right? I'm interested to see that in action, but it does make sense. Reading the runes. For more complicated questions or for more nuanced interactions, consult the runes for an answer. First, gather your will and determine your focus. Narrow the focus to a singular emotion and concentrate on the 16 runes of the younger Futhark. 1 rune name will reveal itself. Generate your focus by rolling a d10 on the focus table. Generate your emotion by rolling a d8 on the emotion table. Finally, generate your rune by rolling a d20 on the rune table. Reflect upon the resulting phrase and turn it over in your mind. Focus your emotion on what the name of on the name of the rune. Your answer will soon take shape. For instance, Amy wants to investigate a severed spectral head floating through the crumbling ruins. She rolls a 3 for focus, which 4 is overcome, and she rolls a 6 for emotion, which is forlorn, and then a 11 for room, which is ice. So overcome, forlorn, ice. She gives her overcome, forlorn, ice. She interprets this as a sign to ignore the fear in her heart and approach the cursed head with an open mind. Interesting. Very interesting way of like creating a story from like small little prompts. I might play this solo later this week and see how it goes.
Yeah, sounds dope. I like, and the very next page is all of those things: the favor, sorrow, focus, emotion, rune. It's neat.
Cool.
And I like the little illustration here at the bottom. This one's dope. It's like a little I don't even know how to describe it. It's a thing with like 2 birds. I mean, it's hard to describe. Well, how would you describe that?
It almost looks like the outside of a meat hall. So.
It does look like the outside of a meat hall. There you go. That's what it is. Yeah. It's got 3 doors on it. It's cool. I really like the graphic. The delve generator. So, looks like there is 7 steps to the delve generator. I like this. Randomly create things. So, let's roll a delve real quick. You got your dice roller out?
Yeah.
All right, so number 1, you roll d6 on the locations table to determine the dungeon type and size. So roll me a d6.
3.
You got ruins. It says plus d6. Depending on the dungeon type, roll an extra dice to determine how many total areas there are. Know your dungeon size. Okay, so roll another d6.
2.
So that I would say that means it's 5 rooms. It's a 3 plus a d6. So you rolled a 3 and a 2, so 5.
Yeah. Cool.
But all have at least 10 areas. Well, I guess that means this has 12 areas because you rolled a 2 on top of it. Roll a d6 on your location's objectives table to determine the goal. Okay, so roll a d6.
2 retrieve.
Roll d6 on your location's objectives table to determine the goal of the delve. The objectives are way more than d6. Oh, no. Okay.
On runes, I rolled a 2, which is infiltrate. Infiltrate and disrupt a hive of cultists attempting to summon a fire Jotun.
I see. Where did I miss the part about roll on your d6 on your location's objectives to determine the goal of the delve? Where did you see the thing about a rune?
Scroll down. Next page.
Yeah. Oh, because you picked ruins.
Yeah.
So it went infiltrate. I see. I don't know what it says up here. See how it gets to objectives later? Complete an objective reward. The objectives is used twice in 2 different areas here.
I
like
see.
underneath mapping the delve. Yeah. Okay. That's confusing. 3. Roll d12 in the encounters table when entering each new area to determine what you see. Why don't you just roll 1?
Just roll 1. Let's get the first encounter. First encounter is a 6.
So you get a mundane encounter.
Nice.
It's a room. This room
is very roomy. It has 4 walls. There's a ceiling.
When first interacting with an NPC or monster, roll 2d6 on the NPC reaction table. I like the NPC reaction table. This is used in like Cairn and stuff a bunch too.
Yeah.
NPC reaction table. Roll for me.
2d6.
Yeah.
I rolled a 10.
Ooh, they're unfriendly.
They do not like me.
Nope, in that roomy room. For more dynamic combat, roll 2d6 on the enemy actions table to determine the enemy's tactics. Some enemies fight to the death. Some are undead and demons. All right, so enemy tactics. Roll for that. 2d6.
4. Grab.
Ooh,
Dex save or lose reaction for 1 turn.
They are grabby boys.
They're very grabby. Yeah, they're an unfriendly, grabby old man.
Yeah. For every area cleared, subtract 1 from your dungeon size. When your dungeon size reaches 1, roll d6 on the resolution table to see how close you are to your objective. You'll either reach your objective, find a clue to its location, or encounter a setback that halts your progress. If you don't locate the object, roll again on the encounter table. For every area you now clear, roll on the resolution table, adding a bonus, -1 for every clue, or penalty, +1 for every setback. Once you've located your objective, the real challenge begins. Interesting. Record your progress through the dungeon on the Delve Generator sheet, available on the Runecairn website. Oh, shit. It links to the Runecairn website. Hell yeah. Good job. And then objectives. Completing an objective rewards you with 1 soul. Oh, so this is a list of things that if you do while in the dungeon, you get a soul. If you explore an area, you get a soul. If you retrieve an object, you get a soul. If you infiltrate, achieve the goal by stealth or charm, and successfully exit, you get a soul. So interesting. So you have an objective, and then this explains like what each thing or what you do in it does that. I like the Delve Generator. It's cool. And if you look at this like Delve Start, there's actually like a what are these things called? Flowchart?
Yes.
So there's a whole flowchart
of... A whole flowchart. It's really, it's very easy to read.
Very straightforward. Delve Start, roll your location, roll your objective, roll your encounter. Did you meet an NPC? Yes or no? Let's say no. Are you fighting? Let's say yes. Roll 2d6 on enemy actions each turn. And then it goes to clear encounter. Subtract 1 from dungeon size. Is your dungeon size 1? Let's say yes. Roll 2d6 on resolution. Did you reach the objective? Yes. Challenge objective. Delve end. That's really clever. Really smart. Like, I really like how straightforward that is, especially for how random the rolls will all be, and how easily flowchart. I love flowcharts, man. I love them. We use flowcharts like this for like ACLS algorithms and stuff in like hospitals. So it's like, do they have a pulse? No. Like, you know, I'm not pulling it out like when I, you know, in the middle of the thing, but it's there if you need it. But yeah, we use an algorithm to save lives. So that's cool. I really like that a lot. And then it's got encounter tables for like all of the areas. So it's a D6 for like, in runes, there's like, you know, treasure, mystery, mundane, obstacle, and conflict, and 6 for each one. So that means 6 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 30 different options for each encounter area, which is cool.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it takes up a lot of pages. This is where a lot of the pages in the back come from.
Yeah.
And then cooperation. So we're getting into the summoning an ally.
Yeah.
Well, co-op. Yeah. So you can play with your friend. The world of Runecairn can be a solitary one, but a helping hand can be a ray of hope in a dark place. So when resting at a bonfire, you can use an effigy stone to call out to a fallen hero and summon them for aid at the cost of 1 vigor. Fuck, I can't, like...
You can't. You're fucked, man.
Because if I die, if I have one, use it, and then die, I'm dead. That's the only way to really die. So your soul, like, flitters off into the fucking darkness. Effigy stones are exceedingly rare, and finding one is an adventure into itself. Effigy stones reach across the realms and summon a physical manifestation of a hero spirit. Summon allies can be past or future adventurers run by a second player or additional hero controlled by the player. So I could let my first character die and then summon them back later to help me. That's cool that you can even do this in solo play. That you basically just have like 2 heroes. Combat and healing. The summoned ally fights alongside the adventurer. When attacking the same target, roll damage for both attackers and take the higher result. So it's damage advantage in the same way when there's 2 of you.
Right.
On enemies' turns, the warden states who is targeted in each attack, giving each adventurer an opportunity for reaction. Summon allies have a flask with 1 sip of mead, refilled at bonfires. And then death and rebirth. Summoned allies are tied to the adventurer who summoned them. If the adventurer dies, the summoned ally returns to their home. They can be summoned again in the same manner, but with the same cost.
Damn,
to say but, it could say and.
Ring today.
Yeah. The ally's physical body is a mortal shape. If a summoned ally dies, their spirit dissipates into mist and they return home. Another cool little graphic here of 2 people with big hands.
Massive.
Do you want to go over invasions?
Invasions. Of course, just as there are benevolent heroes across the realms willing to help out an adventurer in need, so are there malevolent forces who seek to sow chaos and destruction. A black fetch invades an adventurer's world and stalks them, seeking to strip them of their humanity and vigor. Much like summoning allies, a black fetch is a physical manifestation of a spectral form, often the crestfallen spirit of a dead adventurer or projection of a powerful figure from another realm. We've all met the crestfallen warrior. You know, you've played Demon Souls, you've played Dark Souls, you've played. I think there's one Dark Souls 3 as well. I don't know about 2. What? Yeah. A black fetch can be a fallen adventurer run by a second player or an invading spirit controlled by the warden. Consider confronting a player with a previously slain adventurer or NPC returned as a black fetch.
I'll consider the fuck out of that. Yeah. If we play this and I'm the warden, you're getting black fetch all day.
Of course, yeah. Especially if you lose a character, you know?
Yeah. In a dumb way, because they don't have to come back and be like,
fetches follow the same rules as summon allies, so they have a mead flask with 1 sip. They'll continue to invade in the same area unless defeated. They are spectral beings, do not fear death. They also do not flee from combat. When the black fetch is defeated, their spectral form dissipates and their spirit is forever banished from the area. Repelling an invader. If a black fetch is successfully defeated, you're rewarded 1 soul. Nice. Or an important item that they held in life, such as a weapon, spell, or relic. Very cool. Safety check, little safety check up here. As with any situation with potential conflict between players, check and make sure that everyone's okay with it. You know, is everyone
likes the
comfortable with
PvPs?
PvP?
Yeah.
Because if my player is like, no, I really am not into that and I don't want to do it, you know what? We're not doing that. So
that's fine. Right. Yeah. But I think, you know, safety tools are amazing resources. I think once you play with people long enough, generally you understand where their lines are, but it's always still good to check beforehand because you never know what might have changed personally with people.
Yeah.
Part 3 is Beneath the Broken Sword, which we're not gonna read. Again, we don't read adventures on here. You know where you can get their adventure?
You can buy the book.
You can buy the fucking book. So we're gonna jump straight to part 4. Browse through the appendices real quick.
Very short.
Yeah. But Voland sat alone in Wolfdale, forging red rings sealed with skill and threaded like serpents. And he waited for the shining woman, faring her way back to him. Another cool piece of art. This one's gorgeous. Of like a lady on a boat, like looking out across the water. This one's great. I love, again, if these are the illustrations from that person, I think that they fucking killed it with the amount of just movement and action that are in even these like simple pieces. Like her dress is blowing and stuff. Like, it's so cool. It's a really, really, really cool art style. So we got monsters here. We're not going to hit all of them. Do you want to just, I'll talk about the cultist. 6 resilience, 1 defense, 10 strength, 8 dex, 10 wit, 12 spirit. Damn, cultist has got way better stats than I do.
Yeah.
Fanatical zeal burns behind the eyes. They refuse to retreat and fight to the death. Roll a d20 when defeated. On a 1, a black tentacle bursts from the corpse and stripes for d6 magic damage. Dope. Cool. We got like a fairy butt here on this piece of art.
I'm sorry. Yeah, just a little fairy butt, you know?
All cheeked up. Yeah, kind of flat. Not all cheeked up. I guess slightly cheeked. What do you got?
I'll do the shade on the next page.
Okay.
3 resilience, 10 strength, 8 dex, 9 wits, 4 spirit. Hollow, dead, devoid of humanity, a shadow of the person that was. Drawn to the living, gathering in hordes.
Dope.
Also, I will say that I'm looking through Jonas Lau Markusen, their art, and I think their art's actually the small pieces we're seeing here and there on the page. I think the big colored pieces are the public domain art.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so. I could be wrong, but I'm looking through their stuff right now, and it's a lot more of these like white on black like images.
Interesting. So like more like if like on page 50, for example, if you pop on the stream, like you think these illustrations on the page are that person's art?
On page, yeah, I think so. I just dropped you a little link in our chat.
You did drop me the little link. Oh, I think, oh, you know what then these are? It's not these that I have on the stream right now. It's more than it's like these, like the mead hall piece, I think would be theirs then.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's like those little pieces.
Yeah, the black and white pieces. I think the ones that I was talking about in the core rule section are still Colin, Sueur. I think these are the artists that we just said. This would be Jonas, Lau, Markusen. And then, yeah, then those must be public domain, but they had to have been altered then. Like, unless they're like modern pieces, because that is clearly digital and like digitized in some way.
Yeah, I mean, they probably did. They probably just threw it into like Illustrator or something. And
then just put like a filter across it or something.
Yeah.
Well, then good job, dead people.
Yeah.
I love
shout out dead people.
Shout out dead people.
But yeah, that's fucking Runecairn, man. We did it.
Pretty much, yeah, because that's the monsters. There's the names, physique, skin, and stuff in the back. Oh, there's a pronunciation guide.
Yeah.
There is a character sheet in the very back, and then yeah, that's
it's
fucking
character
Runecairn.
sheet. Very straightforward.
It is
easy to read.
Yeah, it is. It is a really nice character sheet. It's definitely very straightforward, very utilitarian. It's not super fancy. There's definitely some pieces on here that are like, it's got like a mead horn. It's got like the skull for the cursed. It's got the snake across the top, but otherwise it's just open boxes for you to fill stuff out. Like you said, it's very straightforward, utilitarian. It's nice. Yeah. All right. So that's fucking Runecairn.
We did it.
So you know what we do now, and it's only 10:37.
I know. Wow, for you.
Yeah, well, it's like noon 37 for you. So we are going to give our review of Runecairn Wardensaga. As I do almost every week, I will talk about the fact that we have 5 categories that we score in, each worth 10 points each for a total of 50. The first is art and style. It is the art that's used in the book. Quantity, quality, and style is if there's a consistent style throughout. Layout and function is a lot of, it's not artistically what the layout looks like. It's more about like readability on the page of the layout. And function is what I talked about right at the top of the stream when we started this. It's, hyperlinks, it's bookmarks, it's functionality and readability. In physical form, things that help with readability is like a ribbon in the book and things like that can help you do those kind of things. Like keep track of where you're at. Rule set and crunch is it a new rule set? If so, is it good? If it's an adapted rule set, how well is it adapted? Crunch is, does the amount of rules in the game feel appropriate for what the game is trying to achieve? Originality is what it sounds like. It's a broad spectrum of a little bit of lore, mechanics, everything across the board. And value is bang for your buck. How much do you get for the money you spent to buy the game? I do want to go to their website real quick and see all of the free resources. I can do that as we're chatting.
Yeah.
But art and style, what do you think?
I think it's fine. I think that there were a couple of weird white spaces. I also don't think the art is like that deep. Like a lot of the stuff that's like the item representation and like some of the item representation on the character classes were good. I mean, it's got these really cool like full page pieces of art here and there. Mm-hmm. And they're fairly often. They're every like 10 pages or so. So thinking maybe a strong 6, light 7 for art.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, again, 5 is average, which would just be like...
It's really just above average for me.
I think so. I mean, again, it looks like the cool public domain pieces were kind of put into like a filter, which is nice, and it keeps it consistent across the board. And like you said, some of the illustrations on the individual pieces are pretty straightforward, just like black and white, pretty simple line work and stuff like that. So nothing that really blows out of the water. I think 6 light 7 is good for me too. What do you?
Let's go with a 6 then. I think it's a 6.
Okay.
I think if the like little item representations and stuff like that had been a little bit more in depth and there'd been a little bit more of them and a little less white space, it'd be a 7. But
I agree with that. Okay. Layout and function.
Get a bunch of points.
So we got hyperlinks, which is fantastic. We got bookmarks, which is even better. We got inline hyperlinks that reference other parts of the book, which is fantastic. That's about all you can ask for. That's all I really hope for. Anything above and beyond that is above and beyond. Right. I think the pages are very readable.
Super readable.
I think the character sheet is super readable. I think it does a really good job. I don't think, when we reference other ones that did different styles of layouts. Again, a lot of these things we look at in terms of what we've looked at previously. Yeah. So, I don't know how we gave Merkborg a 7 on layout. I think because it was difficult to read when we first started. Like when you first read Merkborg as a book, it's kind of difficult to read because of how art punky it is. Yeah. In retrospect, I probably would have bumped that to an 8. But layout wise, Warplane got a 6 for the same problem. Very artsy, but hard to read. Cascade Lane got a 4 because that was like a fucking slog to try to find some of that information. Orbital Blues got a 6. Kingdoms got a 6 because it was missing some headers and things like that. Forbidden Psalms got a 7. Nova got an 8. Gunslinger got a 7. Overarms got a 7.
So for me, I think this one is it would be a 9, except there is a lot of references to rules early on that they like that you're like, what is this? And then later on you're like, oh, here's that.
I guess,
so for me, personally, I think with the layout, with the hyperlinks, with the bookmarks, this is an 8 for me.
So Overarms and Gun and Slinger got 7s. Cyborg got an 8 on layout. Nova got an 8 on layout. 12 Years got an 8 on layout. Do we feel like it's in the Cyborg 12 Years layout realm?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay.
I mean, also it has both inline hyperlinks and which the other ones didn't. Yeah. So
Cyborg did. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Cyborg did. Yeah. But yeah, I agree. I think it's there.
Rule set and crunch. So it's a hack. We know that it's not an original rule set, which isn't necessarily a negative. It feels like it's basically Into the Odd with a little bit of Cairn thrown in.
It uses Into the Odd really well. It
does. Into the Odd. I mean, Kingdoms is the same thing. It's an Into the Odd hack. Yeah.
We have so many Into the Odd hacks in this fucking show.
It's good. Marked by the odd, man. Get marked by the odd. So what are you thinking for rule set and crunch? Nova's an 8. Gun and Slinger's an 8. Overarms is an 8. Cyborg's an 8. Death in Space is a 9. 12 Years is a 9. It's not a 9. It's not 12 Years. It's not Kingdoms.
What are you thinking? What are you thinking?
I don't know. I mean, Viking Death Squad was a 7. Which Death in Space is a 9, which again, rule set, a 9 is basically a 10 because there's no such thing as a 10.
Right.
We haven't hit one yet. Forbidden Psalms was a 7. Mothership Red Giant.
Yeah, I got it. What this one though? Like, what about this one's use of Into the Odd is really good? Like,
I think it's pretty straightforward. I think they adapt Dark Souls really well to the game.
They do adapt Dark Souls really well to the game.
Yeah, and I think they utilize Into the Odd and Cairn and a little bit of Knave to do that really, really well. I think it's a good mix to hit. Like when you read it, you're like, oh, that is 100% directly from the game, but not in a bad way. Like you're like, yes, and you did it well. It's
definitely a plus to it. And then the co-op and invasion are really interesting. Like even for a single player, like they're very interesting rules to have, and I think they're used really well, and I think they make sense. I would give this. This is like a strong 7 light 8 to me. I think it's a strong 7 for me. Like I think it does a really good job of what it does. I don't think that it doesn't reinvent.
It's not breaking the wheel. It's not reinventing the wheel. Yeah. But it adapts really, really well what it's trying to do. So for what it's trying to do, especially crunch wise, I think it does it incredibly, incredibly well. Originality. So it's Dark Souls.
It's as derivative as it could be.
It is as but we haven't seen a lot of like just straight Souls like ttrpgs. A lot of people have tried. Like a lot of people have like things that are kind of Souls like ish.
Yeah, and they all kind of suck.
There are some decent ones out there that are being made. They did do like a Souls jam or whatever. That's got some cool stuff. But as far as a Souls like game, because I love Souls like video games. Like it is a genre.
Yes.
Right? Like
Same.
I love, and not all Souls like games are good, but some are really, really well done.
Yeah.
I think the ability to convert Souls game into a TTRPG that is well done, well balanced, I think is really, really well done. And not only that, they didn't just rip it completely. They put the entire Norse setting over top of it. And you're more of the Norse guy than I am. I think they adapted that really well into it as well.
Yeah, they did a really good job with that.
And again, still keeping the balance, still keeping the mythology, still keeping all of it. I think lore-wise, because we do talk about that in here, I love the idea, the whole concept of post-Ragnarok, gods are the soul remnants, like all of that kind of stuff. And again, that's probably a little bit of Dark Souls-y stuff in there too. But I think the adaptation, it does not feel forced. The Norse aspect of it doesn't feel just like slapped on.
Yeah. It
feels very purposely done. Yeah. So the fact that they purposely did Dark Souls really well while purposely converting it into a Norse setting really well, I think is really well done. And I think it's pretty original in the mix of the two, you know? So I like it. I think it's got a solid originality to it.
Yeah, I do too. I really do enjoy those aspects of it. I was
for me,
joking around when I was like, it's derivative, but I mean, it is, but like in a good way.
I mean, but everything is.
Yeah, but everything is. So,
but in a good way. Yeah, for me, this feels like an 8. Feels like a good 8.
I think it's where, yeah.
And then value. So the cost on Exalted Funeral, you didn't happen to pull that up, did you?
I do.
I can do it right now. Runecairn.
Oh no, I have his
Wardensaga. Hardcover and PDF is $40. Soft cover and PDF is only $25.
Okay. That's
about
good.
industry standard. Standard. It is 100 pages. It is beautifully done. I would love a ribbon, but that's why I have like a sweet iWizard bookmark. So value wise, yeah. The other thing though with value within the book itself, the fact that you get the original 4 book rules, the fact that you get the advanced book rules, the fact that you get the separate zine intro adventure within the same book, I think is really good. I think we do need to give a little bit more weight to games that have intro adventures within the book, because it's literally like, this is the best way. This is what it was designed to run. Yeah, I really like that.
Very fair. Yeah.
And then when you look at the website, there's a lot of stuff on the website. I don't know why the website's going kind of weird now. But there's like a monster hack article that you can look at. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, it's doing like a perma scroll down for some weird reason.
You doing okay, old man? You know how to use a computer?
Oh yeah, I think my whole browser window here is just being a pain in the butt. Like I'm not able to pull stuff out of the browser window. What are you doing with your life here?
Oh, nothing really.
Yeah, I'm an old man that couldn't figure it out. The book was sitting on the space bar. Just spacing away. So yeah. So it's got a lot of cool stuff on the website to fill out a little bit of the information. Hacking Cairn into a Dark Souls ttrpg. There's like a cool article on explaining a lot of like what happens with it. There's an article here on fast monster hacking using Word and Excel to build a better monster. Cool. So It's kind of neat. It's more explainer than like bonus material.
Then both of you, yeah. Well, I think that I mean right now with the adventure it's in it with the Delver, I think it's sitting at a good 7 for me for value.
I think it's sitting at a good 7 too, value wise.
25 for a soft cover is pretty good. Usually we're looking at 35 sometimes, so $10 less. I'm okay with it feels like a good 7 to me. Yeah,
I think it feels like a solid 7 to me as well. So across the board, pretty consistently, above average for the game. We got, even if you do it, I'm going to do it. We got what did you get?
I didn't add it up because you were doing it.
Oh, I got a 36.
Cool.
Solid 36. Score. I think that fits about. Let's see where that is in the scope of other games in that realm. Troika, exactly the same score as Troika, and that feels good to me.
It feels good to me. Yeah, I feel good about that.
Warpland had a 33. Casketland had a 36. Red Giant had a 37. I do feel like this is right behind that. The original Mothership had a 36. Part of that was the art and style was pretty. Right. I think the new expanded one will jump that up pretty high. And then Overarms had a 36. That feels right to me. This feels like in the exact same realm as Overarms to me. Because Cyborg had like a 42, Death in Space had a 42. Necronalis has been bumped up to like a 43. So yeah. I think this is great. 36. I'm super excited to play this game. Yeah. It looks super interesting. I love that it's a 2-player game that you can do like the co-op stuff. I really, really like. Not only is it's not just like, throw another adventurer on. It's like, no, summon an ally or like summon the Black Fetch and do like PvP or co-op. And I'm not ever going to get over just how gorgeous the cover is.
I mean, good cover.
The colors alone are just, killing it for me. So that is Runecairn Wardensaga from Colin Sueur at Odin's Beard RPG. Check out their website. It is buyodinsbeardrpg.com. Yeah, super glad I got this. Super glad we reviewed it.
Super good one.
Again, this jumps right to the top of like the top 5 of games that I really want to run when we actually start doing some APs.
Yeah,
and that's a stream for today.
This summer, it's like soon. So.
Oh, we will. I got some life changes coming up quick. So I think by the end of what month are we in now? April?
May.
We're in May. By the beginning of June, I think like mid-June, I'll be situated, and then we can just start running some APs. Cool. So, podcast land, vodcast land, do us a solid. Go follow all of our socials, especially our YouTube. We are creeping towards 300 subscribers on YouTube. Once we hit 500, Jason said we get to do some cool stuff at 500, like post more interesting things. Like you unlock shit at 500. So. Makes sense. Go just go follow the Adventure Archive on YouTube, and you can find the rest of our socials on the podcast here, or they're linked in our link tree on all the rest of our stuff. But more than anything, do us a solid, like and subscribe on YouTube. We would really appreciate it. We really appreciate it. We recently, especially after Cyborg, had a big bump in viewership across YouTube and the podcast and Spotify and Apple Podcast, and we really appreciate you guys listening. Just to 2 fucking assholes that really probably have no idea what we're talking about. We don't know
shit about anything. Thanks for listening.
And we appreciate it. Garbage. Yep, absolutely. So, but we appreciate that you guys apparently like garbage. So, thanks a bunch. Subscribe to our YouTube. That's our podcast for today. Hunter, you have a wonderful day. Keep drinking your caffeine seltzer while I go to bed.
I'm actually gonna take a nap even though I drank that already. So
there you go. And we will announce what we're gonna do like Wednesday, Thursday this week. No idea yet. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you guys all later.
Farewell.